Sarawak, there has to be some form of communication. Let's say a group from the state in Kogi goes to Nasarawa State to have some conversation. I'm wondering, does Kogi State have a peace or reconciliation or any committee to address the issue? Because you talked about it being an age-long issue. And it has lingered for this long, and now people are having to die for it. What has the government done to address these issues, no matter how, pedestrian it might be?
We are working on a holistic mechanism, and I would tell you that since this administration came on board, we've been able to a very large extent stem the tide of the crisis rocking that local government. And also, you would, the current issue has unraveled a lot of revelations, and the state government is setting up mechanism to be able to attack it from the root. I am not saying that 100% it is caused by some of these clashes in Nasarawa spilling over to Kogi State. We are attacking the ones that we can attack in the state, and we're also setting up mechanism to be able to have this conversation across borders that will be able to, enlighten the people in Nasarawa State, the Bassa people in Nasarawa State, of how their hostilities are already spilling to Kogi State. Kogi is known to be a very peaceful state under this administration, as you can all attest to, as the governor has won so many awards in ensuring peace and stability. And what we are dealing with at the moment is not about insurgency or terrorism. It is about communal clashes, and the state government is working on a lot of mechanism to be able to put this to bed. As you are aware, you are not going to serve peace a la carte. It's not going to work that way. The state government will have to work. The state government is doing that already, putting in place mechanism, putting in place apparatus to ensure that we are able to put this to bed and ensure that our people in Bassa are safe.
Talking about land, because land is very important. The government is in charge of the land, even though it belongs to citizens. If one of these issues is an issue of land, that's where the government should come in first, right? And help us to understand in Nigeria, we understand that these clashes happen, especially because of land. It happens in Cross River, between Cross River and Akwa Ibom, the two people, and the people in Odupani, they have those issues. But then that's where the government should come in to determine where these boundaries are. That is one way to deal with the issue. And then again, you have to go to the grassroots to, like I said, get to the core. I find it difficult when governments tell us that, oh, it's this man from this place that came in here to cause trouble. How secure, shouldn't your people in your state be safe and secure, so much so that an outsider cannot come and disrupt the peace that you have in the land? I remember your principal had been campaigning for presidency, and part of the things that he was campaigning with was that he has successfully brought peace and security to the people of Kogi State. I'm beginning to doubt that if an issue as, let me not, make it seem as simple, but an issue as big as communal crisis and somebody coming in from another state to cause trouble in your state has not been handled for this long, and now it's claimed at least 10 lives. Should we still be discussing that now, especially at the close, almost at the close of his administration?
I think we need to set the record. We are not talking about 10 lives. We are saying less than 10 lives because we are putting the figures together. And also, I've just confirmed to you that the state government has set up a team that is working very closely with Nasarawa state government to ensure that we get to the roots of the matter from there.
How long has this team been on for? How long?
Let me land on this thought. We are dealing with a lot of factors on this matter. It is just one of the factors. We're talking about the issue of land dispute. We are talking about issues that has to do with fish ponds. We are talking about issues as simple, as trivial, as even culture, masquerades, and all of that. It has to do with the stakeholders in those communities. And that is why the state government ensured they came in very strongly to bring out these stakeholders to come and answer questions with law enforcement agencies. We have also been able to put the whole thing in calm as we talk, because we are able to mobilize the security architecture, the entire security architecture and might of the security agencies in the state to the place. Armored personnel carriers are there as we speak, and we have been able to stem the tide. The crisis has gone down significantly, but we are digging into the root because we don't want to solve it now and tomorrow to come up again. So as a very responsible administration that has won so many awards in security, we don't want this to tarnish our credentials as far as security of lives and property is concerned. And that's why we are zeroing in to ensure that everybody and anybody that has been involved in the crisis is brought to justice. Many of them have been arrested. We have been able to recover a lot of arms, and the people are confident today that their government, the government they elected, has stepped in to do its primary responsibility. We are not seeking for commendation for this. The governor stepped in. I remember that a few days ago, till 2 a.m., he was still in touch with the state security advisor and all the security heads in the state to ensure that the place is peaceful. And as I'm talking to you now, it is significantly very peaceful. And, and you also need to understand that it's a very difficult terrain because you have to cross the river from Lokoja to get to Bassa. But the people from Nasarawa can easily, infiltrate. And that's what we are working on with our border security agencies to ensure that we don't allow them to get into the state to foment trouble.
Going forward, just as you've said, very interesting. You have said that the government is working, tirelessly to make sure that this is put to bed. But then again, let's look at some of the things that are at the core of issues like this. It could be poverty, it could be, ignorance. And then you have said there are some things that are as funny as, culture or masquerades, which I don't think should be an issue. But what is the level of awareness or because everybody does not have to have formal education, but is there some form of grassroots awareness program that would help the people understand that they're all together, they're one people, and killing one another for land that nobody's going to go to their graves with should not be a thing that divides them? Because, of course, we already, as a country, are divided across ethnic and religious lines. Is there anything that that is being done at the grassroots, whether in collaboration with local governments or even community heads?
Thank you very much. The strength of our security in the state is not just because of the arm-bearing security agents. It's beyond that. The strength of our security accomplishments as a government has to do with intelligence, has to do with enlightenment, has to do with the partnership between the government and the people of the state. And that has been working well for the people of the state. We have lines that even people in the villages can quickly call for them to have the intervention of security agents. And that has been working very seriously for us. If you go to the smallest village in Kogi State as a visitor today, immediately you will see that they will report your entrance to that village to the community head. You will be screened, and they will be able to find out the kind of person you are and your mission in that community. All these things have been working well. Apart from that, my ministry in the past few months had gone around the state doing a lot of sensitization and orientation. We call it the town hall meetings. We have gone around the nine federal constituencies in the state to sit down with the stakeholders, the local government administrators, traditional rulers, youth groups, women groups, and all of that, to tell them the partnership that the Yahaya Bello administration has brought to be. Because you need to carry them along in the security architecture of the state, and that's working very well. As when you are talking about poverty, Bassa people are some of the most resourceful people in Nigeria. With the river, with the water bodies around them, they are people that are economically viable, and they are great farmers, they are great hunters, they are great fishermen and women, and that has been able to boost the economy to a very large extent. I think it has to do with the age-long hostility between the two major ethnic groups. And as far as the state government is concerned, the traditional rulers in those places have not done enough to ensure unity and peace. And that's why you got that report that the two frontline traditional rulers were brought to Lokoja, and the security agents we're able to probe into the activities, and we have a lot of information. Anybody that is involved in that will definitely be brought to book. You know, the Office of the State Security Advisor has been doing a lot of work on this to ensure that the people are sensitized, to ensure that the people are safe, to ensure that those who have broken the law do not go scot-free. That is what we are doing to sound a very strong warning to perpetrators of evil, not only in Bassa, but across the state, that when you do it in Kogi State, you will not go scot-free.
Honorable Commissioner for Information in Kogi State, thank you so much for speaking with us. We'll keep our eyes on that story and hopefully something good comes out of it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you all for staying with us. That's our show for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow talking for development. And my name is Mary Anako, and have a good evening.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
You may want to ask why murals are important. It is no secret that murals make neighborhoods beautiful. They add color to building walls and streets which would otherwise go unnoticed. They are a treat for locals and tourists alike. Murals have been part of Nigeria's cultural landscape for thousands of years. The term mural became popular with the Mexican muralism art movement. The transformation which took place in the history of mural art during the 1920s and 1930s was highly influenced by the government's sponsorship in Mexico. The Mexican President Alvaro Obregón began a nationalist cultural program in the 1920s. As part of this program, the Mexican Ministry of Education and other government entities to create public murals. In Lagos, the visual effects of wall paintings are an excitement to attract public attention to social issues like the ones here under the Falomo Bridge. An artist, Poli Alakija, created these murals on the columns in homage to the Bring Back Our Girls, the 276 schoolgirls who were abducted on April 14, 2014 by Boko Haram. We speak to an artist, Ebenezer Omole, a 34-year-old who started off as a child and has been painting for many years. This is one of the locations where he has some of his works. He explains the processes involved.
There's a way I blow this color. When you look close to it, you see as if it's flowing down, it's flowing down. So I have to follow the flowing down, then blow it both left and right. So in order to make it creative, so that it won't just go down straight, but go left, right, and zigzag like that. I mix another black thicker than this, then to write what they have here. Especially like this is, we have food here, then we have swimming pool here, then we have games, then we have drinks here, then we have pools, music. So I just did an artwork that will speak for this place because this is a restaurant. So I did those backgrounds so to speak So anybody coming inside, looking at this place alone, so they will know what is going on around there.
He speaks on the distinguished effects imbibed in artistic painting than ordinary ones on the wall.
Ordinary painting is just maybe changing the wall to a particular color that you like. Mural is very interesting, and I used to say it, no painting is complete without an artwork like this. So for your painting to come out well, so you need to add some artistic to it so that will make it more, because a lot of people in the world, they cherish artwork. Now, for example, now, this is lion. A lion represents our king, and the writing here, so it's all about this place, because this restaurant is not just a restaurant, it's a reggae restaurant. So that's why we have most of the color here, reggae color.
Ebenezer further explains that murals are a mode of expression for artists in every graphic style imaginable, abstract, photorealistic, expressionist, to name just a few.
Anyone who is into painting and had a mural painting into his work will get more job than just ordinary painting. No matter how bad situation a building have, when you design it with artistic, even though if it is hot or old building, when you paint it well with this mural artistic painting, it adds more value to the building, and it makes Lagos look more beautiful than, you know.
As a community centerpiece, the wall painting gets a new dimension as a powerful visual communication tool meant to promote the opinion of the people and transmit social and political messages towards unity. Murals bring art into the public space, and because they occupy public spaces, are accessible to everyone regardless of class, education, or ethnicity.
Lagos Island has imposing architectural structures dotted on each side of the road, filled with people who are not sure if they will be locked out from their homes next year due to rental fee hikes. The buildings on the other side of the road wear an empty, forlorn look. Beggars are always on the streets. A thin, middle-aged man in an oversized jacket comes towards my window. In impeccable English, he explains that he is not a beggar, but a medical doctor who worked in the hospital about 3 blocks from the right side of the street we were on. He has an accent that must be from Cross River State, unmistakably lyrical. He says his daughter is in terrible shape. She has a ruptured appendix and was admitted in the same hospital where he worked. I'm trying to raise money for my daughter, but we haven't been paid for about 6 months now. It was difficult to tell truth from falsehood in Lagos. Poverty taught most people the art of deceit as a means of livelihood. Today, I discover an even more ingenious way of begging meant to jolt one's physical and spiritual sensibilities. At the junction just before the traffic lights, a man who looks like he was a few seconds away from being called to be with the Lord is being pushed around in a wheelchair by a dreary-looking assistant. After a few minutes, the assistant stops pushing the wheelchair and takes up his bullhorn to tell the story of how the man has an orange-sized tumor on his face. He makes a feverish pitch for funds that will be for treatment. God bless you as you give. God shall water your garden as you donate to this cause, he bellowed. Motorists avoid them as if they just escaped a leper colony. The two men are indifferent and remain resolute in their quest. My name is Eriye Onogoroa. I work in an energy company, so apart from being an author, that's what else I do. So to be honest, so I used to work in another company, and you get to that stage in your career where you feel like your life is stuck in a rut. Like you wake up every morning and you're like, okay, we have to do this again. Nothing is challenging. It's just you just know you're built for more. So that's the stage I was in. I'll go to work just completely dissatisfied. And, we had friends, how it is in the office. We'll talk about, all the things happening and not happening to us. And then it was just every day we were complaining. And then one day I said to myself, I said, Eri, but you write, yeah? Because I started writing from when I was like 8 years. And I said, instead of complaining, look inwards and do something. And literally, that's how Dear Alarie was born. So it was at a point in my life where I was just completely yearning for more and dissatisfied with where I was in my career. I like that question because when I was writing, for me, it was almost like a sense of urgency to pass a message, and the message was principally to live your life, your best life, in spite of anything that may be happening around you. You would have challenges, but own your voice, tell your story, and just be authentic. So for me, it was very important to pass that message across and let anybody reading to say, you know what, I mean, these challenges are not uncommon. Everybody faces them. But you can still live your moment. You can still live your best life as you pass through these challenges. For me, when I wrote that in particular, I was looking to talk about life in Lagos. And I use Lagos as a metaphor for Nigeria because, Lagos is where everything happens. So for me, it was important to bring out all the kind of things that we see in society that should not be, poverty that really shouldn't be because of the abundance of resources, and the fact that you see a lot of people who don't have as much, just more or less just tending towards, okay, we need to have more babies, almost like a pastime, like, okay, since I can't have this, I can have this. So that was the thinking behind, this. In terms of themes, I thought to look at the patriarchal culture in Nigeria. I thought to put an X-ray on life in Lagos and the fact that really and truly at the end of the day, we sort of exist in Lagos. We don't live, we don't thrive. You wake up every day, you spend roughly, depending on where you are, roughly 4 to 5 hours in traffic. And you get back home and you sleep, and it's like an endless rut. Yeah, so those are the kind of things I was trying to look at, the challenges women face in the office. Not just in the office, what they're going through internally. For Alarie didn't have a child, so she was facing all that, and yet she needed to be in the office to be her best. So things like that, those were the kind of things I was looking to talk about, the patriarchal culture, infertility challenges, just the whole chaos, what it really takes to live in a place like Lagos. Because it was important for me to tell the story that the fact that a lady gives birth to a girl has nothing to do with her, and the fact that as a girl does not lessen the significance of the child. So that's very important for me to say there. We find it, like you said, in Nigeria, and it hasn't changed. Well, maybe, our voices are being more amplified, so people are getting more aware, but it's still there. When a child is born, depending on the sex, the blame game, shifts. And another thing I wanted to point out so strongly was, what if it's the man at fault? Because what tends to happen in marriages is the lady takes the blame, because society has been trained to see the woman to blame where there are challenges with childbearing. But what if it's the man's fault? So those are the kind of questions I was trying to throw light on in the book. Not very well, to be honest, because growing up, it was almost like a taboo. My dad didn't want to hear anybody speaking Pidgin, so it was like, well, I say by force, we had to learn. But, a story like that, I had to use Pidgin to reflect the characters. So someone like Alhaji Wasiu, typical characters that would necessarily speak Pidgin English, it was important for me to reflect that in the story so that the reader understands that, just the different strata in society and the levels of people that we have. I would say, tell your story unapologetically, because somebody also asked me and I said, but you can't live life just expecting to be validated or not validated. Yeah, so for me it was important to pass a message. For me it was important to tell my story. The validation secondary, because I will do it the same way, whether or not whatever anybody thought or thinks about Dear Alarie, I will tell my story, because it's important at the end of the day, when you go to bed, be satisfied that you have done what truly makes you happy as a writer. And some people just have a lot of stories in there just waiting to come out. But it's that fear of acceptance. And really and truly, you can't live life waiting to be accepted by everybody. It's just not the way to do things. I would say that is changing, to be honest. I mean, a lot of reading clubs springing up rather. A lot of, I would say it's changing. I know that, just even surviving in Nigeria is an art. So you find quite a number of people probably not having the time to read, but I don't think it's fair to say that we don't read. I think things are really, really changing.
Police switch to on, light on. Switching command to internal. Expectedly back, DW. Fuel tank pressure 6155. Your nav state with back and is perfect.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayiwa Mesale, and today we have a full house. Hello, ladies. Hello. And somebody went AWOL yesterday.
No.
Yes, I did. Yes, you did.
No, she did not.
Why you asking? Did I mention your name?
No, because I know who was meant to be here yesterday and know who you're referring to. So no, she did not.
So what happened? Where were you? Where did you enter? We're looking for you.
Public holiday. In fact, you reached out on Sunday and said, let's go somewhere. And I said, no, we're not around. I have plans. We make
I thought you were back now.
When you have a 3-day weekend, for us working folk, man, you got stuff.
How was it though?
It was good. Busy. I didn't actually, I thought I would rest, but I didn't.
Oh, okay. NJ.
Hi.
Nwajiaga.
NJ for short.
Asampete.
Yeah.
Am I getting it right?
Yeah, so you got that one. You got
How are
that
you?
one right.
You look
I'm
amazing.
Good, I'm good.
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
I know,
We've
it's
not
good
seen
to be
you
here,
since.
man. I've been taking on life, and life has been taking me on. So, we're here.
Welcome. How are you,
Thanks,
Norma Efenge?
I'm great. I'm good.
Oh, she's back from the UK. I just realized. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. She's back.
How are you? How was your trip?
Oh, it was good. Very restful. As short as it was. Very restful. Until I came back to
Your reality.
Obodo, Nigeria.
Oh, stop it. It's normal.
That knows how to
I know. It's normal.
make your head to.
How did you know you left?
Your hair to stand on end.
I think for me, always the
Anticlimax.
escalator for me. The moment our escalator is not working, man, you know you're back in
No,
the
this time around, there were no smells.
There's a newer airport.
Until you, no, it was still the old one.
Still
Until you know you get to that escalator, you'll be, oh,
The
okay.
moment you have to carry your hand luggage in your hands and walk down that staircase, you're back in
This
Nigeria.
nepotism.
For everybody, no, you know what I love? When you are in the queue in the UK or wherever it is, you bump into her, you say, oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me. When you get to Nigeria, waiting.
Waiting be your problem.
The same people.
We're discussing nepotism. It's okay. This is why we cannot rise above nepotism in this country. A little nepotism, Jehovah Shammah, never hurts nobody, honey. If you got it, use it. Press on with it. Remind them of it. You know, I heard something that nepotism is actually part of society. You can't really take it.
Definitely. Most definitely.
So let us be asking ourselves the question like we do not know the answer. So nepotism is a form of favoritism which is granted to relatives in various fields, including business, politics, entertainment, sports, religion, and other activities. It is the best of patronage by public officers in appointing others to position by reason of blood and marital relationship. Now, it is showing, it is a showing of favoritism for relatives or friends based upon their relationship rather on an objective evaluation of the ability or sustainability. Now, or suitability rather. So it's our ladies' night out. As you can see, it's a full house. Uti, Nwajiaga, Nama, and I are discussing, can Nigerians rise above nepotism? And when we open our phone lines, we really love to hear what you have to say. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
All right, every year, thanks for staying with us, every year countries around the world celebrate World Blood Donor Day. The event serves to raise awareness of the need for safe blood and blood products and to thank voluntary unpaid blood donors for their life-saving gifts of blood. A blood service that gives patients access to safe blood and blood products in sufficient quantity is a key component of an effective health system. Now, the global theme for World Blood Donor Day changes each year in recognition of the selfless individuals who donate their blood for people unknown to them. So, this is our heart goes to everyone. You know, we're saying thank you to you for always, you know, I mean, just the killings that happened in Owo. We saw a lot of Nigerians going to the hospitals to go and donate blood. So that you are donating blood, you're actually saving a life. So please do not stop, you know, and keep on the good work. Who has donated blood here? Not a problem. Who has donated blood here?
I have.
Okay.
So I'm a universal donor.
Oh, I am also. See, that's why we
own eggs. Own eggs. So yeah. So I mean, I think from the time that I realized what it meant to be a universal donor,
yeah.
I give blood as often as I can. Unfortunately, it's not as easy in
here.
Lagos.
Yes.
It was a lot easier abroad, right? It was something that you could do periodically because you knew where the blood banks were. I think here we are more prone to, I know there are blood banks, so I know people buy blood, but we're more prone to when people, like family members or somebody needs blood, then people go and give blood. I think it's only once or so that we had a blood bank come to work. But I think it's just something that needs to be a lot more commonplace because people still sadly die whilst waiting for blood and all of that. So.
Absolutely. I'm also a universal donor, so for every time there's a call for me to give blood, I'm available. And that's why I don't have tattoos and all of those things, you know.
Do tattoos?
Well, they say, they say that, you know.
Oh yeah, there's a long
list of things you shouldn't have, you know, when, you know, you want to donate blood, you know, and all of that. So
I think tattoos, if you've had certain things like TB, of course STDs and the common ones, but yeah, a few odd things that you wouldn't expect,
it should be
but they do.
More popular thing that happens here. So that, because most of the time when these cases occur and people find themselves in difficult situations where maybe family members are not in the right position or in the right location to actually donate blood, but they already have like a blood bank.
So the sad part about that blood bank, so when you go to the general hospital, for instance, to give birth to a child, they mandate your husband to donate, I think, a pint or 2 pints of blood to keep it there. So it is always, you must, that's part of the prerequisite for you to give birth in the general hospital. But you see, the sad thing about it is that, you know, now those things are supposed to be given to people for free. So we don't know if they actually, the people that need it are given for free or they have to now still pay for it. So Nigerians, it's just the tricky, this integrity issue, and again, fetish, everybody is juju somewhere, they want to go and use my blood for something. So people are a bit skeptical when it comes to donation of blood, except maybe it is your family member and you need, you know, if not, we should actually have, like you rightly said, blood banks. You just go and you just, you know, walk in and just give blood.
Once you meet up with the standards.
Absolutely. All right, so let's quickly run through our news. Norma, what did you find for us in the news?
Okay, so my news has that national electricity grid crashes from 3,703 megawatts to 9 megawatts. So the story goes that figures obtained this Monday from the Nigerian Electricity System Operator, an arm of the federal government's power transmission company, showed that the national electricity grid actually crashed from a peak of 3,703 megawatts to as low as 9 megawatts on Sunday. Nigeria witnessed widespread blackouts on Sunday after the national grid collapsed around 6:49 p.m. before engineers from the Transmission Company of Nigeria strived to ensure the recovery of the grid. So basically, we've been having these issues. I think this is about the 5th time that we're having this issue of national grid shutting down and people not having light. I mean, various places in Enugu, Abuja, Kaduna, all of these places confirmed that the grid collapsed in various areas. I think this is something that the federal government needs to really look into, because if we do not put our acts together, electricity is a major aspect of the resources that should be readily available. If we are going to have investments, if we're going to have people coming to partner with Nigeria and they do not have the means to handle their business because there's no light and I mean, this really tells bad on us as a nation. And if they do not handle it, it's going to really affect a lot of things, economy, whatever. It cuts across board. A lot of people are suffering. I mean, some of us are really, really suffering from the recent developments, the high tariffs and all of that, and not even having the light at all will make things even worse. So it's just something that we, the federal government needs to pay attention to as quickly as possible.
All right, NJ.
My story today is, okay, so recently every time I open the news, I see something about rape, and it's starting to become like a norm. Yeah, like it's almost normal. Like already this week, this is like the second story. So this story comes from Warri Delta. I think it's a private secondary school. So it's an English teacher in, the name of the school is Gabriela School. I don't know if I pronounced that well, but that's in Warri, in Delta State. And she, 12-year-old JSS2 student got raped by her English teacher.
Oh, wow.
And it's not the first time. Apparently he's been harassing and, you know, making passes at her, and at some point in time he was able to get her alone, and not until her parents realized that something was wrong with her. You know, after such an experience, there's always that reaction, and that's, you know, so by the time they realized and they started asking questions, then the truth came out that this is not just now. So it's not a one-day thing. It's something that has been happening over time. And just a few weeks ago, there was also another story about a young man who raped his neighbor's niece, who was 14 years old, to death.
Oh, wow.
So I'm wondering what is happening in schools right now. Is it that we're getting to the point where we have to separate? We have to always make sure that male teachers are not left alone with female students, and female students are not left alone with female teachers, because the harassment is getting too much. It's bad enough that you have to send your kids to school wondering what they're learning, but to also know that they're not even safe in the hands of the people who you have trusted and you have paid to protect them. It's something that I don't know how the schools, whether public, federal government, private, can explain this, because you don't want to send... People are going to start homeschooling because it's becoming threatening to send your kids
even at
to
home
school.
They're not safe. I mean, there was a story I think I saw, was it last week, of a home lesson teacher. Yeah, a home lesson teacher that had sexual intercourse with his students. I think he was caught as well. So even at home they're not safe. It's just the situation is really bad, and I think again we are not really serious about dealing with rape. See, if a man knows that if you are caught and they castrate you immediately, or maybe you are hung, you know, it will reduce, at least it will curb it. I don't know. I think the punishment is not severe enough because you need to be able to get, see, just like the way people are so scared to take drugs to is it Malaysia now or is it Indonesia? Because you know that there's no explanation. Once they catch you, you are dying straight. They just hang you. So if we start to take rape like that, because it's a menace, if we take it like that, if you are caught, this is the situation. I am 100% sure that it will curb it, because now a lot of people get away with this, and that's why, you know, it continues to be prevalent.
We're in a land of impunity now.
Yeah,
I think that's just it, and it's not even just rape. Sadly,
it's everything. From
murder, I mean, where there's no consequences, it's human nature.
Absolutely.
It will just continue to proliferate.
Absolutely. And just to add, even the boys are not as safe.
They're not.
You can't even say, because now we have people.
No, that's why I said male and female. So you can't even leave any adult with the kids.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Sad.
Yep.
Your story,
my headline says Nigeria needs 3.6 million metric tons of fish annually. So the federal government yesterday said Nigeria needs about 3.6 million metric tons to meet the annual demand for fish. Locally, we are only able to produce a third of that at 1.2 million. So 2.5 million thereabouts is currently subsidized via importation. So you can just imagine, in the face of our current FX realities, how much pressure fish alone puts on us. And it's not just fish. There's so many other things that we import. I know that the current administration has put shone a huge spotlight on agriculture, but really this is a small microcosm of that, with aquaculture and really the opportunities that exist there to think that we're importing 2.5 metric tons of fish annually.
3.6?
No, 3.6 is the annual consumption, but we only produce a third of that. So the rest right now
is about 2.0.
is about 2.5 that we're currently importing. So it really just shows that even with a lot of, the story goes on to talk about a lot of projects that are happening in the ECOWAS region, all in looking to support that value chain of fisheries with about 15 member states. But for me, it was just important to point out that there are opportunities. I mean, just think about it. Food is still a huge thing with 200 million people, but
Nigeria is ripe for a lot of things. I don't know. We just need the right set of people.
So if anybody is not sure what business to do.
No, but I know a woman that actually, this was like probably maybe 10 years ago or maybe 12 years ago when I met the son Asa. Then her turnover annually was 2 billion. And she was, she's just cold room. So 2 billion, this was, I think, about 12 or 14 years ago, because I think my son was barely like 2 or so. 2 billion per turnover just on fish. So it's a lot of money.
In this situation that we can, because we have rivers all around us.
So I mean, I think at this point,
because of the oil spillage,
this is not even going to be at this type of volume. It has to be farmed.
You have to be farming it. Have you not seen the videos?
Yeah.
Where there was a video I just saw recently where they were pumping the fish into the. They had groomed it in the ponds and they release it into the. So you must farm your fish.
You have to farm it. So aquaculture as a whole.
How many things can you catch inside the water?
Aquaculture as a whole, at that volume, it just shows that
there's a huge market
across the value chain.
Fish farms outside, but to think that it's easy to understand that we can't even the amount of that we consume. We can't meet it because it's not just fish. There are too many things. You'll be surprised. Fish, metric tons of fish.
So my story is a quick one. I'll just quickly mention. So for all you social media users, federal government orders Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and others to delete information that violates Nigerian laws and provide information on harmful accounts, troll groups, disinformation networks. So it says the government has. Let me just quickly say that the conditions, are stated in recent release. Some of the conditions include having a country representative, registering with the Corporate Affairs Commission as a legal entity, complying with tax obligations, deleting information that violates Nigerian laws, and provide information on harmful accounts, troll groups, disinformation networks. So they must be able to provide, if you are busy shouting at government, they will provide, that the social media platforms were also directed to provide a dedicated channel that is available at all times where an authorized government agency can lodge or forward a request or complaint against contents that are unlawful or harmful. Long story short, control your finger when you are typing because if they come for you, all right, let's take a break. When we come back from the break, we want to discuss nepotism. Stay with us.
This Medan has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Now, thanks for staying with us. Now, according to This Day, the presence of nepotism in Nigeria has taken a toll on our development. How can new thinking, worthwhile policies, and development occur when those appointed are there to defend tribal interests rather than those of the majority. In a country where ethno-religious considerations, zoning, and federal characters are deemed more important than talent, how can we be surprised rather that nepotism and ethnic competitions are rampant and things seem to remain the way they are? Where being a relative of a or a politician rather comes with advantages, where close relatives of politicians are likely to be employed in the public or even private sector and earn higher salaries, while those that are suitable and best for the position are ignored. We are all guilty of favoring people we know or are related to, or at some point, right? All of us were all guilty of that. You know, people that we know and we favor them. So we're asking if Nigerians, you know, today we're asking, can we rise above nepotism? That's a question. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow, AFCO1 with the hashtag Wayshow. I think we had a video. I don't know if they have that video. The late Obafemi Awolowo, MK Abiola, when he was talking, I mean, it was a video that went round during during Democracy Day when he was saying that, you know, he would hire based on competence, never about, you know, where you're from or what tribe you're in. And again, juxtapose that to a video that Father Kuka was accusing the president of nepotism and all of that. So I'm just wondering, you know, yeah, nepotism is here, and I don't think, you know, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. But like the quote, I like that quote, a little nepotism does not hurt, you know. But let me take the video quickly, then we'll come back to the conversation.
As president, it's none of my business what religious color anybody wears. In ITT, in Concord, in RCN, in Summit Oil, in the bakeries, in the bookshop, in the presses, and so we employ people purely on merit, round pegs in round holes, period. There are so many people who work for me whose hometown I don't even know. I don't even know them anyway. I don't have to know them. Because we want to be objective.
The percentage of those who want this country to sink, probably less than 5% or 3%. So over 90% of ordinary Nigerians just want to be left to do. They're not. I think we have oversubscribed in terms of what government has the capacity to do. Because beyond electing a man from your village, after the election, you won't see him again. So, and there is nothing to suggest that the people from the president's town are necessarily benefiting more than other people, except of recent, where some people have on their own carried projects to Daura. And I'm not sure that the president himself necessarily asked them to do that. But short of that, we're still struggling to get to Mina. Mina has given us 2 former heads of state. If you go to Jonathan's hometown, it's not as if you can drive with your eyes closed. Okay, if you go to, I've been to Shagari, where President Shagari came from. And I've not been to Obasanjo's hometown, but when I met Obasanjo first time, he was talking to me, he said to me, I swear, I'm sure your village is better than my own. But things may have changed now. But I'm just saying that let's look for the government to create a space that all of us can flower in. Because government can never employ everybody.
As president, it's not...
Okay, so... 2 different people, 2 different perspectives saying the same thing, you know, but just in different, I think this is across 30 years, across 3 decades. But let me hear your thoughts on nepotism, because whenever I look at the Nigerian system, right, it's almost really difficult for you to see some level of progress, because for every single time that we think to get the man for the job, right, I mean, the elections are around the corner, we're already hearing what people are saying, you know, and all of that. And it seems like this thing is here to stay, is never going to go away, you know. But I always believe that there's always a solution. Can we find, right, a middle ground where you can do what you need to do, but at the same time, you also ensure that, you know, we're getting things done right, you know. So that's where the conversation, you know, is stemming from. If we truly can, you know, yes, there's nepotism. Can we rise above this and start to actually find the right people, square pegs and square holes, like that kind of situation, to move the nation forward? Is that possible?
Okay, so let me try and set the scene with some numbers. Nepotism is not new, and it's not a Nigerian concept, but it is, in my opinion, we've taken it beyond. And in fact, if you have 100%, right? And the survey says that in 2019, 44% of the respondents of that survey who got a job in the public sector in 2019 paid bribes. 32% got it based on nepotism. 44 plus 32 is what, 76.
So bribe was 30.
Bribe was 44.
44%.
Nepotism was 32%.
Nepotism was 32%.
Which leaves us with a meager 24%, less than a quarter of the people who we can assume just by elimination will say, okay, maybe got it on competence. That's a clear picture of, for me, why we are where we are today. Public sector is a good mirror of where things don't work. And things can work in the public sector. I know we talk about it, but we've seen some states distinguish themselves, so it's not impossible. But if I borrow the words of the late MKO there, if you don't put square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes, what you get is just a full ship of people and nobody's steering the ship and the ship is not going anywhere. So I think the public sector is a good sample to use. In certain industries, it's just one tribe. A lot of the federal parastatals and all of that, it just feels like it's one tribe. So even when I think of it, that I say, okay, maybe a little bit of nepotism is not bad. It will add to the diversity and inclusion, because in some places when it's completely skewed, perhaps nepotism or bribery is the only way you can get in. But the bigger problem for us is, I don't think that we can rise above it. One, because we are not programmed on merit. So even in the corporate sector, nepotism exists. But it is whether we now see it as detrimental to us as a nation in terms of, okay, how do we move forward? We all keep saying we want change, we go and get your PVC, Nigeria has to change. But if we don't address key issues like this, where people are in there, and whether they're capable or not, I was reading something today that was a claim that somebody else one of the other aspirants won the primary, but it was handed to somebody else. And I'm thinking, how did we get here? So we have a lot of factors. Nepotism shouldn't be one of our problems, because it's not a new concept and it's not going anywhere, but we've overdone it. And that's where it's now become a hindrance for us.
Absolutely. NJ, let me hear your thoughts on this.
I would go, I'll take up from where it's not, I don't think it's something that started today, but, and like she rightfully said, I don't think it's something that is ever going away, because we don't believe in merit. We don't believe people merit anything, and it goes beyond even politics. We're just not programmed like that. You don't believe anybody has to work that hard in order to get that. So most of the time is mostly, who do you know? How do I get there? And even when you get there, you're trying to put your own people as like your, base, so that at the end of the day, when you ask about something or you want something, they're not going to ask you questions because you put them there. So everyone is building, everyone is trying to build this, this big house. But the thing is that if you're building without good foundation, at the end of the day, it's going to crumble when the wind blows. So that's where we are in Nigeria now, where this thing has even gone past, even like if we don't start to retrace our steps, it's going to go beyond what you and I can see now. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know how bad it can go, but it's going to go.
I was going to come back to that Uti's question, that what, is it detrimental to us as a nation? But let me hear your initial thoughts on this, because we need to also understand the consequences of why it has to stop. Yeah, go ahead, Noma.
I'm going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate here, because there are also instances where nepotism has been favorable, where there are competent hands. When you come into some level of position, you want to surround yourself with people who you can trust, right? You will, first of all, and this is natural, it's not, I like when Uti started, it's not something that is new to just Nigeria, right? It's done everywhere in the world. We have people, leaders who will come in and they would also bring in their tribe, right? Because you want people who can help you look good with whatever you want to do or what you want to be able to accomplish, right? So yes, there have been instances where it has worked, where people who are competent can help you actually accomplish goals and your dreams. However, like we always do in Nigeria, anything we learn, we overlearn, so to speak. So we find countless times where people have had the opportunity to engage in nepotism, to actually bring in people that are incompetent, people who have nothing to offer. And at the end of the day, you have a worse situation we have a worse situation on our hands. Of course, this government has been accused on so many levels about nepotism because some of the areas in our nation feel that they have been marginalized on so many across board, whether it's in the economy, whether it's in governance, whether it's in the cabinet and all of that. So it can be, well, I would want to say it can be good when the basis for which you are engaging in nepotism has competence at the core before anything else.
No.
Because, yes.
You know they work that way.
No.
Well, because guess what? The whole idea of nepotism is that, you know, regardless whether the person is competent or not, as long as say the person is my person, I put the person in the position, right? So there's no how.
You can put the person in the right position.
Because guess what? What is nepotism? Nepotism is favoritism. You are favoring people against others, right? Yes. I'm not saying that it is good only when it is. I mean, there should be a balance. If you are favoring people because you actually want people that will help you look good, it's not a bad thing. If you know that they are up to the job and they have the competence, they have what it takes, the principles and all of that, you can bring it. There's nothing wrong in bringing in the people that you know and you want to favor. But it's not done to the detriment of the majority, right? Where it's now a monopoly of all of your people and then other people do not have a say. That's where I have a problem with it.
So they says nepotism is the bedrock of social existence. This was a quote by Adam Bello. So if they say that it is the bedrock, tell me how.
No, I mean, Norma has said it right. If you go in somewhere, you want people that you can trust, right? You build your team around you. Now, ideally, you should build that team with
competence at the back of the mind.
People. But I even want to go. For me, it's like from a Genesis point of view, where did we start to get it wrong? Because it's not a new concept. It's as old as time itself. You see people put their friends in office because I need somebody who I can trust. I need somebody who can tell me the truth. It may not even necessarily be about competence, but somebody that just keeps you grounded. I think that for me, Nigeria, where did we start to get it wrong? The first thing that comes to mind for me is the concept of federal character. Because we started off meaning well. Right? It was our own version of diversity and inclusion. We wanted all tribes, all ethnicities, all languages to be covered. So somewhere in the Constitution, 1979, I believe, somewhere there, it got inserted. And then somehow we've abused it. And like Norma said, when we learn something, we take it to the hilt. So what we created for good, a phrase for me that I think best represents the most negative part of nepotism in Nigeria. When it's working for you, you say it's opportunity. When it's not working for you, you say it's corruption. So the truth is, if we all tell the truth sitting around this table, one way or the other, you don't benefit from nepotism, tell the truth, huh?
So see, I saw this quote somewhere, and I would like us to take it because I like to open our phone lines. It says, nepotism is the lowest and the least imaginative form of corruption. It's the lowest but the least imaginative form of corruption. Nepotism can get you very far in the world if you've got the right connection. So I still cannot associate nepotism and any form of good, say even if the person is competent, right? But let me take a break. We have to open our phone line. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 they pay.
Now, thanks for staying with us. If you just tuned in, it's our Ladies' Night Out, and we're asking, can Nigerians rise above nepotism? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet us at WayShow, AFCO1 with the hashtag WayShow. Our phone line is now open. The number to call is 07025-007749. Please remember to turn off the volume of your television set while you make that call. All right, so as I was saying, because you know why? There are some things that you can't stop. You know, you start it goes deeper, it's deeper, and all of a sudden you will find the reason to say, oh, this person is the person for the job. My point is, can we start to do blind recruitments? Can we start from there, where I don't even want to know? You know the way they do this, the voice, that your back is turned. You're not seeing the person that is singing. You just hear the person. So the same thing, right? Where they let our credentials go forward. Do you understand? If at the end of the day, Norma, you throw the credentials forward and it is your person that eventually the credibility looks good and everything, and the person is picked, then it gives me some form of comfort that yes, we're ready. But as long as you're telling me that you want to hire someone because as long as the person is competent and all of that, it no go work that way. But let me take youngest old man.
Okay.
Youngest old man has called.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi. You see, I just want to be frank with you. You see, I think democracy is in the system for it to fight nepotism. In a situation where you'll be able to have 1 or 2 laws that will allow people to come in even they are not favored in your book. But because of the policy and the law guiding the country. Nepotism works mostly in the military era, where you get people that you can trust and their family or friends that will get your back, or how do you used to say it? But in this case today, we don't find ourselves executing the nepotism in democracy. And it's so open to the extent that even when you are doing the nepotism business, you bring people so incompetent that it's open, that this person is not in the job. That is why you see somebody that read agric being a bank manager. So all that kind of thing, it's so painful. And I come to see that the word of my professor that said that the people of today are suffering from emotional bankruptcy and a psychological holocaust. I come to believe with my prof on that, because that nepotism is so open that they don't even hide it. It's supposed to be timed and kind of you do it with a close concept. This time is so open. If you're not my brother, you don't do the same thing I do, you're not getting anything. So I hope we wake up to that. I understand that democracy is even there to fight nepotism, so that everybody can benefit, even if you don't have a direct connection with who is in turn or in power. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And where I even have that problem with the nepotism is that where I have the problem with that nepotism is that you are in a place where, you know, everybody, I mean, it's almost like you can never succeed if you do not belong to a particular group. Look, do you understand? In the movie industries, there, in all the industries, everybody. Everywhere. So I get it that you want to bring your tribe. I get it that you want to bring the people that are that you can trust to deliver the job. But there are still good people out there. There are still competent people out there. My point is keep widening the net, because that way you get more people into that pool.
So here's what I wanted to say. When you talk about competence, it assumes that the person, for all intents and purposes, at the top of the nepotism triangle is competent. So, you know, when you say it, you are assuming that, so I have now entered, I have arrived, somehow I have been knighted, crowned, whatever you want to call it. I'm now in charge. You are assuming that I am competent enough to even identify the competent players to bring in. Let me tell you why I don't think that's the case. You see, some people are strategic, right? And this is where you start to measure the level of competence. I want to get to a destination. And I look at the future and I say, when I get to that destination, what am I going to need to succeed there? If success is truly your actual objective, you would have looked at that role and you would have said, you know what? One day, I want to be XYZ.
What you hold that for? Sorry. Somebody has been holding. Joseph, I believe from Kwara State. You're live.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. Sorry for keeping you here.
How is program today?
We thank the Lord.
Okay, I want to protest before I contribute to the program today. The earlier, towards the ending of last week, I called. You guys refused to pick my call.
Very sorry.
It pains me a lot, but that one has gone already.
Sorry.
Yeah, very sorry.
What I'm protesting, but that one has gone. There's no cause for alarm. What I want to talk about is about nepotism.
Go ahead.
This nepotism is not about benefit alone. When you go to some institution, like me, I go to a Litman University, private institution. If you fight with maybe a Hausa man or a Fulani man, they will chase you away from school, no matter who you are. I'm the product of that school. I can say it anywhere. It happened. It happened to my friend. So my friend is the weakness. I can call my friend. I can even call my friend to even call your program tonight. To the extent that if you are not Hausa or Fulani, forget you are going. No matter who you are leaving that school.
Thank you.
So it's always odd when something like that is happening. Like a management is supposed to call all students or a student that are involved in the matter, that what really happened, to question you what really happened, to confirm what happened. But they will not do that. Immediately they will just suspend. After suspension,
you're out of the school.
You are facing Adewale.
Thank you.
You are going on.
Thank you, Joseph.
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, rather than die, let's go ahead. But so to quickly wrap up what I was saying, right? So you assume that there's competence. Now, here's why I don't think there's competence. Because like I said, if you're going somewhere and your plan to get there is to succeed, you do what everybody else does. You start to plan, you start to prepare. So you develop skills within yourself. And you know that, okay, when I get there, I need to build a team. You start finding the right people along the way. You start grooming them. So you teach them the same way you are developing your skills, the same way you are developing their skills. And then as you're growing together, you are all sharing a vision and a plan. No, what happens is that the vision and the plan is to chop money. So when you reach, then of course, it's easy. Chopping money is not a skill. It's something you do. All of us come together. That is why we have the concept of national cake. Cut your slice, eat your own, and make room for the next person.
So what is this costing us as a people?
Everything.
You know, and because it's not serving us as it stands today, right? You know, what's...
Well, unfortunately, nepotism is not going to go away anytime soon. Because this is something that is ingrained in our people. It's a mindset that grew over time. Uti rightly said, when it was infused in the Constitution. So that case of federal character, so to speak, and all of that. It's going to take a process to get people to pay attention to what should be topmost, which is about competence. If we're going to move forward, I love the analogy that she made when you said you have a vision. A lot of the people that we even have do not even know where they're going. They shall know they're going somewhere. They're not sure where they say what is the end goal, and they're dragging as many people that they feel comfortable with along. If we have more competent people who know, like I keep saying, it's nepotism. It's not bad in itself until it's more about just bringing in your people and less about competence. If we all had the opportunity to do something, right? We're going to start with people that we know, whether we like it or not.
Okay, Edward from Lagos. Oh. You're live. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi,
Good evening,
Edward.
ladies.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Thank you. I want to contribute to your discussion this evening.
Go ahead.
You're talking about nepotism. First of all, we need to understand what nepotism is all about. I think it is where somebody is in a position of influence, bring in his or her own relations, irrespective of whether they are competent or they are not competent. And it also leads to, for instance, you that is, moderating this program, you are an MD of a company, and a lot of people have applied for some jobs. You look at their CV, you know they can do this job, but you prefer your sister who just finished an O-level certificate and make her give her the position of that place they are looking for. Why are you doing all those things? Because you are looking for people that will cover your ass. You yourself is not competent. It leads to corruption. It runs down the company, and that's exactly what is killing Nigeria.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. So it's costing us a lot, right? And that's why I say that there's no sugarcoating it. No. Nepotism has never been about considering competence. I just wanted to punch that thing very well, because it's not. If it's for competence, then we will not even have that subject. We will not even talk about it anymore. It has never been, and it will never be about competence. So how do we move forward from this? Make we start today. All right. Sorry. Hold on. Let me just take a quick call. Charles from Port Harcourt. You're live. Hello.
Good evening.
Hi, Charles. Good evening.
You guys are looking very lovely.
Thank you.
All right. Nepotism. I think I want to look at nepotism from this angle, in security aspects. Take for instance in this country, I think it's one of the ills of this Buhari administration. If you look at this government thoroughly, you've discovered that no president in any administration has showcased this level of nepotism in their government. Look at, for instance, we're having issue of insecurity in this country, and you're telling me that the insecurity chiefs can only be found in one part of the country. And look at the way the country is today when it comes to asking something with security. You have the chief of army staff, the chief of whatever, custom, immigration, and all. All these things brings about unproductivity, the highest form of corruption. Take for instance now, if I'm an army officer and I discover that maybe I'm in a particular rank, maybe I'm a general, and I discover that maybe people ahead of me, they might be retiring very soon. Because I'm not from the north, I probably think maybe I don't have any chance of being the chief of army staff. These are the things that brings about bickering in the system, brings about murmuring, and thereby in general brings about unproductivity. It doesn't really help. It can never help. I think to me personally, if I want to describe it, I want to describe it as the highest form of corruption. It's not helping this country, and it's one of the problems that is benefiting this nation.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So thinking Nigeria first, because we have just a few minutes to go. Think Nigeria first, because now when I listen to MKO Abiola talking, he was saying that the conversation has never been about whether the person is Yoruba or whatever. It has always been about who is competent for the job, and that's his own thought process. Our thinking has been skewed. We think Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, like that. So if we start to think Nigeria first, I'm sure we would kill all of these conversations around, nepotism or,
But guess what, again, by the time you think Nigeria, which should be the situation actually, and there are people who are competent, unfortunately, they are from a particular part of Nigeria. It's also going to be seen as...
Hold on. Hassan, you're live. That's the power that I have. Hold that thought. Hassan, quickly, you're live from Edo State. Oh, shoot. Sorry, we can't take... Hello?
Hello?
Go ahead, please. You're live, quickly. I think we lost the call. So we lost the call. So you were saying?
I said that, so this mindset, because sometimes when we say competent and then you're dealing with people who are competent, unfortunately, they are from a particular part of the country. You are still going to be seen as being nepotic because it seems like you're favoring a particular side, but people will not see it that you are also, employing or you're taking them on based on their competence level.
Oh, God.
So let me just...
Quickly, Uti, we don't have time.
A couple of things. So I think that this thing we're talking about, we were having a conversation a few days ago around the presidency and the fact that we all focus on that. And I come back to the public sector because that's where it's most rife in Nigeria. And it's also the place where we almost need the most change, see the kind of change we want to see in Nigeria. It comes to how do we fix the problem? Because you're now saying, are we going to rise above it or we're going to find a way through it? Because it will always exist. Please, if the corporate sector can do it where we have everybody represented and it's based on competency and skill, people still need to keep their jobs, people still need to eat. Can we start to look for round holes and square places where we can fit people? So the concept for me is, do we start to assess people's competency? You're already in the public service today. Can we just assess you? There is plenty roles right across the public sector.
That fits your
Maybe we start moving
level.
you from here and putting you there and moving people around. So people are not losing their jobs. So from a perspective of the economic impact, it's not so harsh. Because we're looking for real solutions to this problem. Will it always exist? Will I come into power tomorrow and feel that I need some people around me who are my people who I can trust and who even understand the way I work? It will always happen. But can we move past this? Because when we talk about the effectiveness of our leaders, they're not islands. They need all the people around them to work and understand how they think. So maybe we start to move people around and start to assess their capacity and put them in the right places.
All right. So we have a final caller, Robert from Abia State. You're live. Quickly, please.
Okay, good evening.
Hi.
Beautiful ladies in the house.
Hi, go ahead, please.
Okay. Based on the topic you are discussing, if Nigerians can
rise above nepotism, yes.
Rise above nepotism, I think Nigeria can rise above nepotism if we should consider doing the right things at the right time, even if it means selecting somebody who is from a particular region or whatever. It's possible that those people can do well, and if they do well, I know Nigerians, I know the generation I belong to, who will appreciate the fact that those people are from a particular region and they are doing the thing. You cannot hide when things are going right.
Yes.
There's no way it can be hidden. It will be glaring to all of us that things are moving right and those people are the right people for this work.
Absolutely.
But when the things are not moving right and you keep insisting that let them be there, whether they get it right or they don't get it right, they are doing well. You see, there will be chaos in the society and there will be agitation and people will not be happy. Why don't you give other people opportunity to do same thing these people are doing and see if they can move the country forward?
Absolutely.
So
and I
my
totally
own opinion,
agree with you.
we can rise above nepotism, and I believe my generation can move forward and have a rethink about all this
I think it's just
nepotism
starts
or
from-
whatever.
Thank
and
you so
move
much,
on
Robert.
This country.
Thank you. I think it's about the mind, but let me quickly take a comment. No, you have one. Hi, guys. So I think that constitutional review could help. That's from Chisom. Thanks. It's I think that if we start to think, because now I don't think across tribal lines. My thought process, that's how I was raised. I see you, I say a human being. I do not see, that's what I'm saying, it's just me. So if we start to have a collective that we're thinking like that, we're not thinking across lines. We're just thinking who is the best fit for this conversation. It's just like when we do the little schedules we do on the show here. The schedules are done based on the person's strength and competence to deliver on the topic. Do you understand? It is not about whether the person is my friend or not my friend. It is, can this person deliver on this topic? And the schedules are done. Do you understand? So that's how it's supposed to be, not about who is my friend, who I'm to be favoring, right? But that is a sad reality. But quickly, Norma, your comment, and I think we've run out of time.
Okay, so this is from Austin, from Delta. Says societal pressure encourages it. If your spouse recommends an unqualified in-law to run your company, do you go ahead to engage the person? If you don't, the home front becomes hot. So what do? You either choose bad manager to run your firm aground or face war at home. Think about it.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Thank you so much, ladies. It's a continuous conversation, even though we don't know it. But the truth is, I want to find that solution where we can work with it, because it's not going anywhere.
I think, like, if I would just quickly put in this issue of tribe, if we can just delete it.
It's impossible.
If you delete tribe, then you put in religion. You're going to be putting, there's always something
So as long as these
always
things continue to play a significant role,
just stick to merit, competence. Those are things that can be checked.
Before we go, thank you, Norma, thank you. Thank you, NJ. Ensure you follow us on Instagram, Ratio Africa. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Thank you so much to all the people that called in. Now, if you missed today's quote, a little nepotism never hurts nobody, honey. If you got it, use it. Press on with it. Remind them of it. I like this quote. I don't know why. It's so sarcastic. See you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m.
have peace without justice.
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
welcome to Plus Trending. I am Vicky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Ahead of the 2023 presidential elections, presidential candidates face hard choices to choose their running mates. So look at this on the program this morning.
Also on the breakfast, groups including the Christian Association of Nigeria and Catholic Society of Nigeria have warned political parties against filing a Muslim ticket in the 2023 presidential elections.
We also have newspaper analysis on Off the Press. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the program right here on Plus TV Africa. The breakfast is what we call it. My name is Kofi Bartels.
And I am Mr. Boko. Beautiful morning to you.
All right, we have interesting conversations for you lined up as we earlier advertised. And of course, we usually would start up with our trending segment on the program. It was sort of a chase last night on Twitter to try and find out the location and the whereabouts of a young woman who had raised the alarm that she had been kidnapped. And Twitter was, I won't say agog, but quite busy because at the time people were trying to inform the police and the authorities that a young woman had been kidnapped. She put up the information and shared it on Twitter. So people were giving some sort of live location to try and get where she is so that they could at least get the authorities to find her. You know, it was quite a sight to behold. Indeed, the authorities had to put out something. But her name is Amira Sufyan. And this is the tweet she put out. Please, whosoever has my WhatsApp number, I sent a broadcast message. Of my location. We were abducted at gunpoint by people with uniforms, police uniforms, and a van from our house or houses from different parts of Abuja. We're 17, including 3 pregnant women and 2 little kids. They didn't see my phone. All right, and it was all over Twitter. People were, trying to get her location, her friends and all that, put it out. And not long after that, the FCT Police Command, they are on Twitter. They replied to her tweet that investigation is in progress. We thank everyone for the many helpful information they put it coming from all quarters and urge all to exercise calm and patience as we get to the root of this. Kindly check your DM, Amira Sufyan. This is what the police said. Kindly check your DM. Mercy.
First, it's very commendable of Nigerians. I mean, the fact that everyone showed concern trying to come to the aid of the young lady and every other person according to the information. And as much as we would say that social media has its ills, it also has, its importance. Well, it's also very saddening that we have to talk about this every other time, the issue of kidnapping. And we constantly ask ourselves, do we have a government? That's the question. What is the responsibility of a government in any civil crime, among other issues? Now, the fact that, among some of the issues that were raised is that these kidnappers were confidently telling their victims of how they will be transported from one point to the other. It brings us back to the question of, on our roads, we ought to have, you know, security checkpoint. I mean, all of that confidence, all of that, you know, effrontery. I mean, whatever word you want to use to describe that, it calls for a lot of concern. But as much as we would say that security is, you know, government's responsibility, it's also important that we stay very alert and we are very vigilant in the course of our transaction and going about our businesses, because it feels like we're living in, doesn't feel like we do, or really living in a very difficult time as a people.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. As a matter of fact, it's also a concern that this is happening in the FCT. You know, people have raised that concern as well, that this is happening in the Federal Capital Territory, and that if you're having kidnapping locations in the FCT within Abuja, it calls for concern. Is this one of those kidnappings that you have with banditry? You know, is it terrorism, or is it a regular, you know, it's normal kidnap for ransom by people who are not terrorists? We don't know. But I mean, people also concerned that the authorities could not, you know, give a better response than telling her to check her DM. I mean, how does that sound? You're telling the victim to check their DM is not, you know, an encouraging sign from the police. But it's good that at least the lady was able to put a message across and tweet holding her phone. But some people are also doubting the whole story. You know, asking, you know, from the tweet, how you were able to tell us that you were kidnapped from various locations. Why can't you mention where you were picked from? You know, so what some people are saying. You didn't tell us exactly where you picked from, but you're telling us that you picked from different locations. And people are doubting the tweet, saying, hey, you should have at least given us the exact location where you picked from so that we can at least know. You know, you said we picked from different locations. It sounds fishy. No, but yeah, that's what some people are saying.
Yeah, I really, but I also don't know if we also remember the incident that happened, the Abuja train kidnap or attack that happened, where someone had also tweeted at the time that she was dying, and there was also a response on Twitter. I mean, Twitter can just be a place where you have different kind of energy all around. And so someone was like, when are you dying at the time? Because most times we don't understand. Now, you don't want to be in a situation where you are in danger. You can't really tell. Sometimes you find people and you ask them, why didn't you do X, Y, Z at the time? It is not a time where there's a lot of logic or reasoning, because at some point, you know, the medical practitioners would say that your body would be responding differently. You would just have a lot of hormones being secreted into your system because of the situation that you're faced with. And so you don't expect someone who is facing danger, whose life, you know, is under threat, to begin to act very rational and be very detailed. That is really a lot of bravery to even tweet. So I think that, you know, that might just be a lot, because if you've never been in a situation where your life is under threat, then I'm not sure you would understand what it is. You don't expect that time to begin to say, oh, you know exactly, and you're very detailed about the situation. So I understand that for some reason, a lot of people have used, you know, the social media platform as a means of, you know, causing or attracting attention to themselves, but it might not also be in some cases. I think it's important that we call some of these persons slack and see if it's a situation, because people have found out that Twitter and social media has helped a lot. And so if you have your phone and you think you're in danger, that one of the things you would do is just to put it out there, just in case someone can stumble and help can come. So yes, that's it. And moving away from that, another on the top trending list is the fact that, according to statistics, 42% of Nigerian or young people are unemployed. And it's something we talk about every other time. I really don't know how true this data is, because it's also another thing. What census was conducted?
You're doubting the data?
I'm not doubting the data. I'm not, but I'm saying...
Typical African woman.
No, I'm not doubting the data. I'm just saying that it's possible that it can be more if you look at it, if you were talking about 42% and all of that. But before you arrive at all of these statistics, you were seeing it fully employed 37%, underemployed 21%, and unemployed 42%. So we're looking at 100%. That's not a pass mark. If you were a lecturer, you would not say that's good. But I'm thinking that this 42% might just be a little bit above. Well, it's very saddening that we have to talk about this, especially in a country of ours where, I mean, there's a lot that's going on, or we have what it takes. And so you find out that unemployment seems to be topping the chart, because that 42% is not a good thing at all to reckon with. And how do you now describe, the rate of crime and criminality? It's there's a correlation according to those who would be speaking.
It's quite an interesting one. The Twitter handle of the company StatiSense put out this this piece of information. It's raised some concern because it is data from the year 2020 that they put out, because they were asked by some people on their Twitter handle, what is the source of your information? And then they said that people should check the 2020, I don't know if it's a mistake, but Labor Force reports, Labor Force Statistics Report 2020. It's a reply they gave to a young a person, or I don't know, someone, I don't know the age, because we assume everybody is into it as young, by the name IB Kenny. IB Kenny asked StatiSense, what's the source? And StatiSense, that Twitter account, put out the information, said it's the National Bureau of Statistics, Labor Force Statistics Report 2020. So people some said, you know what? Some are asking, hey, if this is from 2020, could it be worse or better by now? Why don't you give us a fresh report? But they put out state by state. I mean, it's not a news story or news that, unemployment is a problem in the country. Of course, whoever is coming in as president will have to grapple with this issue of unemployment. It's not just a national issue. You go across states, it differs, state by state. It's not the same in Lagos as it is in maybe River State. And I think it shows that it's not just a job of the president to solve issues of unemployment. The fact that they also reminded us of the state-by-state statistic, some states have over 50% unemployment rate. Their national average, you saw that it's 42%. But some states have 50%, 51%, 55%. So it shows that the state governments also have a role to play in ensuring that unemployment is nipped in the bud. It's not just a federal issue. And citizens need to also hold their governors to account, for issues like this. And these are the questions that Nigerians should ask when people come to say, vote for me, make a job president. You understand? What are you going to do about unemployment? You see it happen in American elections, where people are asked what they will do when they become president of the United States. They are judged. Their approval ratings rise and fall on employment statistics, unemployment data. But we don't ask these questions. We don't take it important.
So I think that it's generic, however it is that we want to look at it, and however it is that government would want to say, hey, yes, we know that the statistics vary, like you have put it out there. It varies from, the various states that we have. Well, it's a generic thing. It's just basic that there are certain things that government need to do. These theories have been propounded a long time. And if you look at some of the developed climes that we have, or some of the countries that we're always in temptation to compare ourselves with, as you find out that these countries have been running and been pushing this particular, theory, that it is government's responsibility to provide the basic. In some climes, you find out that the private sector drives every sector. The educational sector, the medical sector. And that can happen if the environment, the ease of doing business is nothing to write home about. you have to look at the environment. How friendly is it? We're talking in terms of security, because it would discourage, it should, the level of security would attract, foreign investors and local, investors. Who wants to chunk in their money? What investor would want to come in and invest in an economy where, or in a country where security is a major issue? So that's on the one hand. So I think before we begin to say, yes, it is, the responsibility of individuals as much as government, but government needs to take care of the primary thing of ensuring that, they provide an enabling environment so that the private sector can actually thrive. You also need to begin to look at the taxes as well. There are some states where, because they haven't been able to think outside of the box, and then you find out that taxes become, top on the front burner. So they begin to tax the people. Who are you taxing? I mean, you're taxing the same civil servant. What is the, the purchasing power in the state and all of that? But so it still brings up back to the issue that even if we have, the 42% as the entire, and then other states it varies. It just shows you that there's a lot of problems. Some states will begin to argue that, we don't have, the level of sufficiency. We're unable to begin to generate revenue. It brings us back to the system of government that we're operating. Some people say, let's get back to, a true federal system where we're able to harness the resources that we have and control our resources so that we're able to do X, Y. So it's a lot. It's a generic situation, and I'm hoping that government at different levels would understand the basic of government or the reason why government actually exists.
All right. I've been scouring the NBS website and accounts I haven't seen much. I do hope that with the National Bureau of Statistics, that the fact that they have a new man at the helm of affairs, Yemi Kale, would not mean that the work. Yemi Adeniran will not mean that the work that the other man who was there did is going to stop, because the guy who was there before, now at the National Bureau of Statistics, did a yeoman's job. He did a great job, because they're putting out statistics every now and then. We hope that the NBS will continue to be as vibrant as it was, even more vibrant, under the new head of the organization. We don't want to be seeing news and pictures on their Twitter accounts. I've been looking at it, trying to see whether that information by StatiSense is recent. And what I see on the NBS is news. I see news on their page. We don't want news. And National Bureau of Statistics, please give Nigerians data. We don't want to see pictures of your meetings around the world. We don't want that. Give us data. Do your work. Don't give us news. Give us stats. You were doing a lot before now. I do hope that NBS is still doing more. And I've seen some interesting stats, but I'm not keen about the news they put up on their Twitter account. The head of the organization going for conferences and stuff. That's not what we want. Please give us stats, more stats. You've been doing a great job. Please continue and even do more. And let's believe that with the new man at the helm of affairs that is not so new anymore, of the NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, that we will see better from the organization. But I'm noticing a difference, which is I'm seeing more of news. The head went for a pro conference. He had a courtesy call from snap pictures and put there. We want data, more of that than those things. Let's move on to some of the hazards of the trade, business. You hope to get continuity in governance. Someone comes in as governor, does a good job. The next person that comes in should continue. Someone is head of a ministry department agency, leaves. The person who comes in should continue. So let's hope that's what we see with the NBS. I sincerely hope. You've done a lot of good work in the past. Abba Kyari has been in the news, and of course, is always a fertile, ground for people to comment on. It's been an interesting story. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja yesterday sentenced 2 drug traffickers connected to him, Chibuna Patrick and Emeka Ezenwanne, who were linked to the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari. They backed 6 years, imprisonment, 6 whole good years. I think you remember the video. I remember the secret recording done by NDLEA, and then the story that came out, and the police response and the press conference they called, and the NDLEA had to respond to them as well. So the trial judge, Justice Emeka Nite, convicted the two gentlemen on counts 5, 6, and 7 of the NDLEA charge preferred against them. So I think remember that 2 of them were arrested at Akano Ibiam International Airport in Enugu while attempting to smuggle cocaine into the country, and they were arraigned on March 7 before that court alongside DCP Ambakari and also, importantly, 4 other police officers who were handed over by the police to NDLEA. ACP Sunday Ubia, Inspector Simon Agirigba, Inspector John Nuhu, and ASP Bawa James. Let's see what happens at the end of the day. But it's important to note that both Umeibe and Ezenwane had, upon the arraignment, pleaded guilty to the drug trafficking charge against them.
I mean, everyone is saying that this particular case should serve as a deterrent to those who are in this kind of practice. I'm sure that you probably would have other persons who are involved and are indulging. And so Nigerians are asking that this should actually serve as a deterrent. They're also hoping that Abakari gets a sentence as well. And everyone involved, gets it, just to send a message. I don't know, we can't continue like this. It's quite unfortunate, if you ask me. Once upon a time, a superhero, star, all of a sudden, this is what's going on. Well, I think that's the much we can take at this point in time on our top trending conversation. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll be looking at the front pages of the national dailies. Please stay with us.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you don't talk, they go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. On the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
It's the breakfast in Plus TV Africa. It's time where we turn our attention to the papers, bringing you great analysis and insight right here with Tunde Kolawole, who joins the conversation via phone. Tunde, it's good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning, Lady Mercy. Hope you had a great night.
Thank you for asking. I did. We start off with the Leadership newspaper. On the Leadership newspaper, letter to Nigeria Democracy Day season by the president. I mean, that letter has been published. It might just be dominating some of the papers this morning. Running mates, APC differs to Tinubu. Wike may emerge as Atiku's vice presidential candidate. And some quarters are saying that, you know, Wike has probably tendered down, but I don't know how true that is. Governors won't influence Tinubu's running mate, Uzodinma. Interesting. Parties in rush to meet Friday deadline. And Malibu, Nigeria loses 1.7 billion naira JP Morgan Chase case. Oh, very sad. 2023 polls, Army warns commanders, officers to stay clear of politics. And Carrie's co-defendants get 2-year jail term. I take that again. Carrie's co-defendant gets 2-year jail term. That's on the leadership this morning.
All right, let's move on from the leadership to the Punch. Doesn't have any letter from the president, but it has some information that will be of interest to Nigerians. A big story there with the kicker Muslim ticket. The headline can, that's the Christian Association of Nigeria. Others warn parties as Buhari meets governors. PDP names Atiku's VP on Thursday. I know a lot of fake news has been making the rounds on social media as to who Atiku had picked as his running mate. Indeed, some news outlets had already put out the information, and then if you read the story, you'd see that they're saying reports have it. You know, I don't know who they
Under
are,
probability.
who are they rushing to impress. Why not just wait, let the man name it, and then you. I mean, I got calls yesterday, people saying someone had been picked as Atiku's VP, and I said, hey, see, don't allow yourself to be deceived. Anyway, the following writers to that headline: Muslim ticket dangerous, declaration of war. Khan warns parties, vows stiff resistance. What matters is responsible government. Hunger knows no religion. Tinubu's group. Constitution doesn't stipulate religion as criterion for choosing VP, says Governor Uzodimma. More from the Punch. Ekiti, INEC IG promised credible governorship poll. Tinubu 14 governors campaign for APC. At the top of that front page, fuel subsidy surpasses health, education, welfare budgets. World Bank warns Nigeria, page 20. Or what massacre Southwest governors to reject security. Lawmakers demand attackers' arrest. The writer to that story, Southwest won't tolerate another attack, says Akeredolu. 3 governors donate 75 million naira. Will put security agencies under fire until they arrest killers, reps. That's page 30. Probably adopting a different approach from the governor of Benue State, Samuel Tom, who always would tell the citizens that they are on their own and they should defend themselves. Dollar rises by 21%. FX shortage persists after party primaries. There's a link. Well, you can read more for that. FG, 10 states plan 2,000 megawatts off-grid power. Right, when you hear plan, you know, I wonder what the colonel will say about this when you hear plan. 1.04 trillion naira lost to 2021 aircraft repairs in foreign countries. FG. All right, I think they are telling us that 31 policemen dismissed, others sanctioned, over 14,976 complaints. Gunmen abduct 2 in Ogun Church, 14 in Katsina and Bayelsa as well. Diesel price may hit 1,500 naira per liter. 75% of filling stations closed, according to marketers. And we've been hearing that there have been queues in Abuja. It was in the news yesterday. The papers recovered it. Before now, during the primaries, I saw some of my friends in Abuja posting online that why are we having queues? I mean, traffic jam in Abuja when there is no fuel. And I was like, but we have fuel in Lagos. Today, we see. You
saw it.
small. You know when it's about to come. It's a weird rain, weather will change.
I
saw
that.
Little queues popping up. I don't know if it's panic buying or, but we reject every situation of fuel scarcity in Lagos. Let it remain Abuja.
Is this you praying, saying a prayer this morning?
We can't get into that again.
No, because I saw that as well, and I started asking myself, it's possible that we probably might just be having another fuel scarcity.
We'll get the thoughts of Tony Kola when we're done with that. But those are stories coming on the front page, headlines coming on the front page of the Punch.
Away from the Punch, let's take a look at the Daily Independent newspaper. Buhari rejects pressure to impose running mate on Tinubu. I mean, who are these persons imposing, trying to pressure the president? He's the president. It takes decision without cabal. Interesting. That's what the president is quoted to say. A lot of persons will not agree with that. Large turnover of reps, a big loss to democracy. Badabi Amila is quoted. And underneath, Lawan consoles senators who lost out in primaries. Assures Senate will address the loopholes in electoral acts. Again, you find Nigeria lost 2.5 billion naira to aircraft maintenance abroad in 2021. And moving away from that caption, you find JP Morgan wins 1.7 billion naira trial against Nigeria over massacre. Southwest governors to hold security meeting. Abiodun is quoted. Ogun, Lagos, Kwara governors donate 75 million naira. Kidnappers of Zamfara wedding guests demand 145 million naira ransom. That's a lot of money. Nigeria to lose 5 trillion naira in 2022 over fuel subsidy, the World Bank is saying. And says inflation likely to increase further. Additional 1 million Nigerians going into poverty by the end of 2022. Alleged cocaine deal, Abakari's co-defendant bags 2 years imprisonment, and PDP committee recommends Wike as Atiku's running mate. I mean, this is how the Daily Independent reports. And also, Peter Obi visits Egypt to understudy country's power, education, and finance sector. These are some of the headlines this morning on the Daily Independent newspaper.
All right, at this point, let's bring in Tunde Kolawole, legal practitioner, who is our guest this morning. And of course, he'll be analyzing the headlines. Tunde Kolawole, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to you as well.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, indeed. Let's start with the last one that Mercy talked about. This is coming on the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper. He has received some stake from his fellow presidential aspirant talking about Omoyele Sowore. I saw his tweet yesterday. But Peter Obi is off to Egypt. The picture is shared on his Twitter account to go and, in his words, understudy Egypt's power, education, and finance sector. Is this necessary for a presidential candidate to make some noise about? Omoyele Sowore says, Peter Obi is not prepared to be president because he had 8 years as governor of Anambra State, had a run during an election cycle as a running mate to a presidential candidate. He was on a presidential ticket, and that by now should have had all these things figured out. What do you say?
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
All right. Peter Obi has visited Egypt, is on a trip to understudy the country's power, education, and finance sectors. And he put out a statement, a tweet, and some pictures showing him at the airport boarding a commercial flight to Egypt. One of his, one of his fellow aspirants, Omoyele Sowore of AAC, is saying that Peter Obi should have figured all these things a long time ago. That what will he learn about Egypt's power, education, and health sector in 3 days? In 3 days, that he had 8 years as governor and a full election cycle as a running mate to a presidential candidate. He should have got all these things figured out.
Honestly speaking, I agree with Omoyele Sowore. One would have expected, as it used to be done in the past, that before you even throw your hat into the ring, you would have done your own work. You would have done a lot of research. You would have mapped out your strategy and tactics. And also, where the funds will come from to run some of the programs and manifestos you intend to deliver to the people. That was what used to happen in the past. You will recollect when Chief Obafemi Awolowo, when Nnamdi Azikiwe, when they were contested, especially in 1979, they assembled a team of experts who advised them on the program that their party should adopt that can take the nation forward, how the programs are to be executed, and where the money will come from. You will also recollect that here in Lagos, before Alhaji Lateef Jakande embarked on a program, the blueprint for that program would have been done by experts from various fields. Look at the housing projects that Alhaji Lateef Jakande built. Would you believe it that the use of pillars to reinforce buildings today, instead of using blocks all around, emanated from some of the advices and research that people gave to Alhaji Jakande, civil engineers, people like Ayodele Awosobi and co. Said, look, to minimize the cost of building, you can put in pillars in there and then use little blocks and other materials. And that thing has become the in thing today. Those are the sort of things that you want to see with serious-minded political aspirants and not all these journeymen, ambitious people who have no program whatsoever for the people. I also would say that Peter Obi, with all the noise he's been making all over the place, shouldn't be exhibiting this kind of naivety on the eve of a presidential election.
All right, Tunde Kolawole, let's quickly also let's also look at move away from that and look at the Daily Independent newspaper, where you have the report saying that Buhari rejects pressure to impose running mate on Tinubu. What are your thoughts? And according to the presidency is saying that he takes his decision without cabal. And prior to this time, even though we haven't been able to see a proof to whether there's a cabal or not, there's a constant thought and feeler saying that you probably just have the cabal taking the shots and deciding on behalf of the president.
First and foremost, with the choice of running mates for the APC presidential candidate, I think since the president decided he wasn't going to impose a presidency or a presidential aspirant on his party, and that he also petitioned at the end of the day the consensus candidacy, it should be expected that he wouldn't be too eager to impose a running mate on the flag bearer of his party. I think that is the way it should be done. There ought to be a level playing ground for whoever may want to lobby to become the vice president or the running mate of the APC. There is nothing wrong, and I must say this, for the president to have his preference, either for who becomes the president or becomes his running mate. What will be wrong is for him not to allow the delegates or the rank and file of the party to decide who flies the flag of the APC as president and also whom the presidential candidate chooses as his running mate. It is natural to have preference, but it will be wrong to now use your good offices to impose a candidate of the party, either as the flag bearer or the president or as the running mate. So I think the president is in good stead to have stood aloof in who became the president and who became his running mate. As to the cabal, let me say this. All over the world, there is usually a cabal behind most governments, behind most presidency. Look at Russia, for example. You hear of the oligarchy. And who are the oligarchy? They are the ones who are in charge of the apex of the Russian economy. They are the ones who deal in gases, who deal in petroleum products, and who deal in massive importation and arms and ammunition manufacturing, which is sold to the army. In America, too, you have the oligarchy. You have the gun manufacturing people, the people who manufacture weapons. Most times when the Republicans are in power, the arms and ammunition manufacturers always stand in good stead compared to other allies in the society. The problem with our own cabal is that they don't come from the background of an enlightened self-interest. They come from the background of wanting to use power, of wanting to use the presidency, of wanting to manipulate whoever is in power to enrich them, to give them plum jobs, to give them plum contracts, to employ their words and relations into juicy jobs in parastatals, in ministries, in the bank, and then in the presidency. Furthermore, most times, some people pretend to be members of the cabal in Nigeria or in the presidency, whereas they are nothing. They merely go looking for ambitious politicians who want to be governors, who want to be president, who want to be ministers, and they sell the dummy to them that they have the ear of the president, of the vice president, of this also governor, and that if he makes this amount of money available, mostly in billions and in dollars and pound sterling, they will be able to get for him whatever post he aspires or is interested in. We used to have a man, if you remember, I say he comes from Benue State. His name starts with Terry. And who used to tell people that all you needed to do is to consult him, and whatever you want in the society or in government or in the business sector, he'll be able to get for you. These are influence peddling allies who use their so-called influence to make money, to enrich themselves, to corrupt the system. So a good government will have a way, a mechanism, and ways and means to discipline, to rein in, to ensure that it is not just a few people, that it is not the cabal that dictates to its government whatever it does with power, whatever program it executes, and now it delivers on the dividends and leverages of democracy. It will be naive for anybody to say that you can run any society or any government without some influence peddling allies behind it.
All right, thank you very much, Tunde Kolawole, for that. Let's move on to look at the papers and the attention they're given to the tussle for who becomes the vice president, or the running mate, rather, of the political parties. Attention is mostly on the two leading political parties in Nigeria, the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party. Now, the Nation newspaper says that the PDP panel has okayed Nyesom Wike as Atiku's running mate. We haven't seen anything from Atiku to indicate that. There were rumors yesterday, indeed. The word Wike and confirmed were trending on Twitter last night. Searched the internet, didn't see no information to that effect. What are your thoughts on this? Apart from that, other papers have also, given attention to that. Of course, as Messi said earlier, Buhari rejects pressure to impose running mate on Tinubu is one from the Daily Independent. So let's look at what is going on in the PDP first before you talk about the other one.
Okay, well, for Wike, he is a very ambitious person. It is not impossible that he is the one flying the kite and putting feelers in the media that that he should be chosen as a running mate for the PDP flag bearer. That is Alhaji Atiku. You know, he did very well in the presidential primary of the PDP. He also spent a fortune of the Rivers State money to get the presidency of the PDP. But at the end of the day, I think Alhaji Atiku overspent him. I also think that the years of experience and the influence that Atiku has accumulated at the end of the day swung the pendulum of victory to the side of Alhaji Atiku. I am not too sure that any presidential aspirant would like to choose a Wike as a running mate. He is rancorous, very loud. He behaves like a bull in a China whale shop. That his loyalty to So his principal is always suspect. You will recollect. He used to be the chief of staff. So, former Governor Rotimi Amechi, former Minister of Transport Rotimi Amechi, look at the way he did his principal and teamed up with Mrs. Jonathan and eventually aligned forces with President Goodluck Jonathan to wrest power from Governor Rotimi Amechi or former Governor Rotimi Amechi in Rivers State. Ever since he got that power, he has not allowed Rotimi Amechi to have a home base. When you have a person as ambitious as Wike, and sometimes as powerful as Wike, and sometimes who have that kind of a resources at his disposal, most people will not want them as their deputies because they might be feeling it will be difficult to control, to manage them. And you and I do know a vice president, a deputy governor are like spare tires to their principals. No Nigerian politician will want a similar powerful and ambitious person as a deputy. For the APC, I have very strong suspicion that with the role that the governors played in the emergence of Asiwaju as the flag bearer, as the presidential flag bearer of the APC, they will have a very decisive say in who becomes the running mate to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is not impossible that one of the governors will already be jostling for that position and lobbying his colleagues to help him get it. It is also not impossible that people like Shettima, who also played a very crucial role, that is Senator Shettima, and former governor of Borno State, might also want that position. And you know, there has also been speculation that the vice presidential slot of the APC should be zoned to the northeast, where Shettima comes from. The other controversial issue regarding the running mate to all these presidential candidates is whether to choose a Christian or a Muslim. For certain people like Rufai, and for certain people like me, I really don't care whether the president and the vice president are both Muslims or whether the president and the vice president are both Christians. What I'm interested in is competence, ability to get Nigeria out of this whirlwind of insecurity, ability to put food on the table of the average Nigerian person, ability to reduce the 33% unemployment that we now have in the society. If a Muslim ticket, if a Christian ticket will provide or give solutions to all these problems, I really don't care.
Thank you
but
so much.
Remember,
we have to let you go
our
now.
Society has become more sensitive now to these religious issues, such that it may not be advisable for the two parties to choose Muslims as president and vice president, because
Tunde Kolawole,
what is happening all over the
we appreciate your thoughts and perspective on the papers this morning. Thank you so much for being part of the breakfast.
Thanks for having me.
That's because we're out of time. We look forward to sharing more of your thoughts as we proceed in the course of the show within the week, hopefully, or next week. We'll take a break now, but just before then, let's let you know what happened today in history. When we return, we'll be looking at the first major conversation, INEC deadline. Stay with us.
peace without justice.
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers. You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them.
If you don't talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And
welcome back. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. And of course, the race for the vice presidential slots in the ruling parties, the All Progressives Congress and the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, are taking a definite shape. Sources have said that if those opposed to the Muslim ticket in the APC succeed, the likes of Simon Lalong would be in line for consideration. Now, this has come on the heels of the Christian Association of Nigeria, ACAN, the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, and an Arewa coalition, as well as APC national stakeholders cautioning the APC against fielding a Muslim ticket. So that's the issue as far as the All Progressives Congress is concerned. Now, in the People's Democratic Party, sources are saying that despite the strong claim being made by the Southeast for at least something to go their way, having lost out in the presidency or the presidential run in that party, the battle is panning out as a straight one between Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, who came second at that primary, and the Governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa. There's been rife rumor that Wike has gotten it. But Okowa was a member of the committee that conducted the primaries that held in Abuja. Well, we have joining us to discuss this, analyze the tussle for who becomes the running mate in the two leading parties, the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party. We have a political analyst, Adeyemi Saka. I almost said political satirist. Adeyemi Saka is definitely not a satirist. You're welcome to the program. It's quite an interesting one. You know, the whole drama that is playing out. Let's start from the People's Democratic Party, because that seems to be where there are rumors that are rife. Some rumors, really, really heavy ones. Last night on social media, this morning, one paper has gone with it. The Nation is whether Wike has gotten the ticket, the running mate slot in the PDP. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think this rumor could be true?
Yeah, well, if the rumor turns out to be true, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar might have made his choice, but for watchers and someone like me, I don't think that's a smart choice, because the running mate is assumed to be a potential vice president, and our activity since the return or advent of civilian or democratic rule since 1999 is the vice president in charge of the economy. We've seen how battered the economy is. As we speak right now, inflation is 37%. Food inflation is almost 18-point-something%. Unemployment is also around 40-42%. So you want to bring in a Wike that has no economic background aside from just being the governor of Rivers State, or you want to bring in an Okowa his background is in medicine, if I'm not wrong, to sit atop the economic affairs of this country. We've seen what a lawyer has done in almost 7 years. The economy has been battered. We need somebody that knows the figures. We need somebody that knows about management, economic management policies, and what have you. So the two choices being put forward by APC, for me as an individual, is not impressive enough.
No, but does it really matter, I mean, who becomes the vice president, whether it's an economist or whether the vice president comes from a certain region? Because we have seen, like you already know, the vice president is as good as, you know, a person who takes orders from the president. He can't do beyond his stipulated roles that has been put out. So what difference does it really make?
The vice president is also, based on what we've been practicing since 1999, is the topmost diplomat in the country. Can you beat your chest and tell yourself or convince yourself that Wike will make a good diplomat for the country? Does it talk like one?
Are we not putting a lot of expectation unnecessarily or unproven expectation on the office of the vice president?
You see,
when some analysts have said, Adeyemi Saka, the vice president is just basically ceremonial. It's just a piece of furniture.
Okay, the vice president, whether we like it or not, is in the presidency that can act as a president at some point, or that could be the president at some
But
point.
how many times have we seen the vice president in this administration act as the president? The one time that the vice president acted, I mean, we also have, we got stories and reports saying the president wasn't impressed. We saw that the vice president took some certain actions. He felt like it didn't really sit well, with the president or those calling the shot, as they would say, not proven, the cabal, even though we're still in denial of all of that. We haven't really seen the president transmit power. Over time, the president would travel, but has not transmitted power, and he would work within the jurisdiction of how long he has to stay away from office. So does this really matter wherever the vice president comes from?
It matters because whether we like it or not, there are constitutional rules for the vice president. As much as people want to argue that the vice president is a spare tire and extra tire, the National Defense Council, the third schedule, I think that is part G of that schedule, the vice president is the vice chairman. The National Security Council is the vice chairman. A lot of bodies or probably arms of government and everything, the vice president plays a role. And even when it comes to the National Economic Summit of the country, the vice president is, I believe, is the chairman.
The National Economic Council.
Yeah. And that oftentimes only supervise the National Economic Summit group activities and what have you. So how do you want to pick somebody that doesn't have the requisite experience or qualification to sit at top of an economy that is battered, dwindling?
But the point I think Mercy and myself are trying to make the question we're trying to ask is that are we not placing unnecessary more expectation than normal on the economic qualifications of whoever should be the vice president of Nigeria? When number one, Adeyemi Saka, we have the manager of Nigeria's macroeconomy, who is the Central Bank of Nigeria governor. In UK they call him the Chancellor of the Exchequer. In America they call him the Chairman of the Federal Reserve. We have the Minister of Budget and National Planning, number two, and we have the Minister of Finance. These are three important key stakeholders in managing Nigeria's macro and microeconomy. Some will argue the vice president just needs to have organization, leadership skills to just put people together. You don't need to have a first class in economics or a PhD. Just have the ability to put people together to sit down and say, what do we need to do? And everything is subject to the president. She's reminded us that at some point, all those RCCG people, those sharp-looking guys that they brought into the vice president's office, who were there. And you remember when the president went on his medical vacation, at some point, things were moving really fast, if you remember. And at a point, there was uproar that a lot of people or a lot of aides in the vice president's office had been moved out. And the presidency brought people in from the office of the presidency to man those positions. And then we saw the resultant effect. People who pay taxes in this country, who have had to grapple with FIRS, to tell you that they know the point where things started going south. And they link the two. So some of these things, some will argue, it shows how limited the powers of the president, the vice president can be, despite what we see as his head of National Economic Council. It's purely ceremonial.
But let me say this: we can excuse that because the time we said we don't even need the qualification, probably dwell so much on the credentials of Mr. President or whoever comes up. That's when we said even if it's a NEPA bill, we'll take it ahead of any certificate from an university, and we saw where it brought us. We're in a peculiar situation that we have to just get it right. We've wasted almost 7 years in our national life. We cannot afford to waste 2-3 more years. That's why we need every resources we could put together to get this country, pull us out of doldrums. We are in a mess. That is where I'm coming from, my opinion.
Okay, all right. We're still with the PDP.
Yeah.
We're hearing two names. Ifeanyi Okowa, Delta State. Nyesom Wike, River State. The Southeasterners are saying, you know what? We need to get that vice presidential slot in the PDP. We were cheated in the primaries, but at least at all, Naimba passed. So give us something. Do you think the People's Democratic Party should be looking that way?
Well, if the PDP wants to go look southeast, for me, the only formidable or prominent political personality there, or political spokesperson there right now within the PDP, if you want to judge by the last the special presidential primary that was led by the PDP's former Senate President, former SGF, Senator Haim Pius Ayin.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's
why do you think Ayin is the only person from the southeast?
No, he's the one. I said judging the last presidential primary.
Okay.
It was he pulled that. I think it was a guy that it was the man that pulled the largest vote from southeast from that region. But you know, there's an ancestral curse by Juanize Indigo and then in southeastern and other statistics. So I don't know how
they gonna.
And I don't think he wants to take it as a person. I don't think he wants to take it as a person. And if you look at the temperaments and the conduct and whatever, you might want to lean towards Anokoa. But so some other people will tell you that, are we sure if you pick Anokoa, you have a replay of I made him, a betrayal accusation in future? Because a lot of people will tell you that for what Governor Okoa, for whatever heights he has risen to in politics, is all thanks to the former governor of Delta State, James Ibori. So are you going to divorce him from James Ibori? Are you going to have a vice president that's going to be under the control of a godfather? Are you going to have a vice president who somebody might start saying is his benefactor? We saw how that played out in the APC, how some felt Vice President Emmanuel Shibaju is a betrayer. It was nobody. And I was wondering, somebody that served in the presidency is in the 80s. I'm wondering how somebody that appointed as a commissioner in the 90s made him.
So this is quite interesting. If Okoa becomes vice president, what are the chances that he will not be controlled by Ibori?
It's not even about the control. Everybody wants to exert his power and authority.
But that, I mean, we can't even take that out of, the Nigerian politics, the politics of godfatherism. It thrives all the time, and I don't see that leaving anytime soon. So whether or not, I mean, someone who's the president would have
and
been.
I don't think Atiku will want to pick Wike. Based on Atiku's experience, Atiku in 1999 to 2007 was a victim and was an actor. Victim, when I say victim, how the president used his force and might against him. That was Olusegun Obasanjo. Actor because of the way he played the politics and how much he wielded so much influence in the presidency as a vice president.
So do you see the PDP going outside of this other names that have been mentioned, very popular? Because we're beginning to see, some quotas saying that, not verified, that, there's a possibility of Donald Duke, former governor of Cross River State, being considered.
Even apart from that, there's another name being, bandied around. One of the three names then, that was Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom. I don't know how I got off the list, but it was that at some point. So we could look at Donald Duke too. The options for Atiku.
But do you see Atiku, moving away from these names that are very popular, going beyond that?
I see Atiku not picking any of these two guys.
What is the importance? Of course, I mean, Donald Duke sounds exciting, mercy. But what are the chances of having somebody who's a political choice versus somebody who is not a popular choice, but an ideal candidate? Like you've talked about, somebody needs to have at least a track record of some economic management success.
Okay.
And no links to godfathers like you talked about, so that nobody will be remote controlling him or her. But the parties are also in a position where they need to look at votes.
Yeah.
And the thought is that Peter Obi's emergence as the candidate of the Labour Party will eat into the votes coming the way of PDP from the southeast. So how does the party maneuver this?
You took us to another sphere of conversation. I say it's when I was pushing for the choice of economic sound vice president, running mate for Atiku and what have you, is because they are looking at votes. They need to pick somebody that can balance the engagement and the conversation Peter Obi is pushing out there. If you pick Udom Emmanuel or you pick a Donald Duke, they've been giving us the same narrative that Peter Obi is giving Nigerians. So that could appeal to Nigerians. And now, Peter Obi coming out is not just going to eat the votes of Southeast. Peter Obi, there's a massive movement across board. And I tell people, when people tell me that, no, Peter Obi's followers are just on Facebook, on social media, and I ask them, those people on Facebook, are they not existing in real life? Is that not? Is that? And if Nigerians decide to want to give Peter Obi the structure, don't you think that structure will move? So there's a Peter Obi factor there that you need to balance out. If you're looking at a vote, we can, whether you like it or not. There's a Kwankwaso in Kano, and Kwankwaso's influence in Kano is not just Kano; is across Northwest. And I'm not.
So you're saying that there's a possibility of a Kwankwaso and Peter Obi?
There might not be a possibility. You can't expect a Kwankwaso that has a secured vote of almost 3, 4, 5 million to jettison that for Peter Obi. There could be a merger at some point. But what I'm trying to say is this. A Kwankwaso can probably pull 5 million votes across board. And Peter Obi that I'm saying as well will also pull 5 million votes. And that's the worst I can give to these two men. And if these two men pull 10 million votes, what's the end of the votes left for APC and PDP to pick?
There are quite a number of votes.
But it's not. They probably will not meet the required third spread of the 36 states and the FCT.
All right.
So these two other contestants cannot be. As much as you're looking at, you want to look at votes, you should also look at the import and influence of these guys at the next dispensation.
All right,
they will determine a lot that will happen.
Let's move to the All Progressives Congress. Still looking at the
interesting one.
The running mate, Asiwaju has his work cut out, and we're hearing that the decision is hovering between Asiwaju and Mr. President. Governors of the APC to decide. The man has been meeting with some of those who he defeated, but of course we have the North-South issue in the country where parties who have presidential candidate from the South.
It's not just about North-South, Muslim and Christian and Muslim.
So let's talk about the Muslim thing. It's I think we flogged it.
Does anybody think about the Muslims and they should just bury it?
All right.
The country is divided. And when some people tell us we need competence, I tell me that there are no competent Muslims and Christians in northern Nigeria. And for crying out, if you're saying competence, President Muhammadu Buhari is a Muslim. Is he competent when it comes to dealing with insecurity? Has he not failed us? Has he not even failed his Muslim brothers in the north? And you see, people should, you see, it's this. You want to pick a Muslim ticket after you've had 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, a Muslim, as the president. President Muhammadu Buhari, with his popularity, did not dare or assume or imagine they could probably pick a Muslim from southern Nigeria to win an election. He always goes for Christians. He's been going for Christians. So why will you not tell me that? And you think you want to pick a northern Muslim as a running mate, and you think the northern Christians, you are not missing out their vote. Are you telling me that their votes is it consequential?
So I mean, the parties have, like I said, a choice to make. You're talking about the right thing to do, the ideal thing to do, which is to carry everybody along. But the difficulty here for the All Progressives Congress, some would say, is that they need to also look at how to capture as many votes as possible. Everyone wants to win the election. Will the All Progressives Congress get the majority Northern vote if they go for a Northern Christian, in your opinion, as a running mate?
The question is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu not Muslim enough to get the votes of Muslims of Northern extraction?
To some people, they feel that the core Northern Muslim does not see the non-Northern Muslim, for instance, Yoruba Muslim, as genuine, Muslim, real Muslim. You know this.
No, some people too have been coming out to debunk that and said, no, I'm a Southerner. They take me as a true Muslim. And it's laughable and it's funny how people say this. And I will say this on an international platform here. You cannot tell me that the voice of Christians in Nigeria shouldn't count at this next dispensation. If 3 parties out of 4 we're talking about have chosen to go for a northern presidential candidate, I'm talking about the APDP, the APC, and the NNPP, they're all Muslims. The only party that has a Christian flying its flag is Peter Obi.
That's amongst those 4.
Amongst the top leading 4 we're talking about now.
So, but okay.
I'm still going to drive at something.
Okay.
And we are in a country that in the last 30 days, 2 people have been killed for blasphemy. And as we speak, there was no northern politician who is a Muslim that spoke against the killing.
The President Buhari released a statement and spoke against the
the
first one.
President Buhari has always been saying we should respect other people's religion. That's always
No,
been his
but he
position.
condemned it. If you read his statement, he condemned it.
Now, the
Including
question-
former vice president.
even
he deleted the
yes,
tweets.
yeah.
So you're not telling me that in a government that had a Christian, that happened. What happened if they don't have a Christian at all?
No, but
Okay, so to balance things, whether we like it or not, and we should face it. We are more divided than we were in 1999. We need to balance things. It's always been North, South, Christian, Muslim.
What if the APC presidential candidate says, see, I'm going for competence. And competent person I found, I don't care where they are from. I don't care who they pray to in the morning and afternoon and night.
Question.
And he finds a competent person
Muslim, and as a
from,
Muslim.
yes, he says, I don't care, I want to have a new
No,
Nigeria.
it's up to
where-
Nigerians
yes.
to either to vote along that line or reject it. But the question is, are there no competent Christian from the North?
So, but let's also, I mean, we're being prompted to, call it a wrap now. But the question here is, should, in 2015, if the consideration for a Muslim ticket did not fly, why is the APC considering a Muslim ticket in 2023?
Oh, I guess somebody is either they have been delusional or somebody is being overwhelmed or drunk on his personal ambition. That's my submission.
And these just speculations in the public.
And it could be
sphere.
speculation.
Because I mean, nobody from the party has come up to say anything.
Any right-thinking Nigeria right now will want to balance things along tribal lines and religious lines.
Because I do remember Shivaji put out a statement on the day of a special convention in Abuja that they had not made any decision. Since some text messages have been flying out.
No. It's like I said, it's up for, even if they go for that, they should know that there's a Kwankwaso in Kano, so there's a Muslim that will pull northern votes.
All right, we have to go. I want to thank you very much for your time, Ademi Saka.
You're welcome.
All right, still the Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Ademi Saka is a political analyst. He's been an analyst and guest on the First Major Conversation. We'll be back after this break to do some more talking with another guest. Stay with us.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Na 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Na 2,500 they pay.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
It's The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Thank you for joining us and staying with us as well. We're heading straight to the next conversation and the possibility of having the APC having a Muslim ticket. Nick Agule, a public affairs analyst, joins us this morning. Nick Agule, it's good to have you join us. Well, we also...
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to our viewers.
All right, thank you so much, Nick Agule. We also have in the studio Adeyemi Saka. Thank you for staying with us as well.
Yeah, I'm moving away.
So we just get straight to it, if you can hear us. There are a lot of concerns as the possibility of the APC that has not been confirmed, and so of the APC having a Muslim ticket. Now you have, on the other hand, the Christian Association of Nigeria and the Catholic Society of Nigeria, warning political parties against having a Muslim ticket in 2023 presidential elections. Now, what would happen if, political parties decide to toe this line, Muslim tickets or maybe Christian tickets? What will be the implication?
Thank you very much for that question. I think this discussion is taking national prominence because the two major parties have a northerner and a southerner, and both Muslims on their presidential tickets. This is what is causing this topic to gain national prominence. And the bottom line here is that people feel that with Atiku Abubakar being the PDP presidential candidate, a northerner and a Muslim, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a southerner and a Muslim, the APC is disadvantaged. I am not saying so, that's what people feel, that the APC is disadvantaged if they field a northern Christian. To their thinking, they believe that the northerners will not vote for that northern Christian. They will rather vote for Atiku Abubakar, who is a northern Muslim. And this is the reason why it looks like the APC are being made to consider a northern Muslim to checkmate or balance the voting dynamics of the North. But the people who are making these postulations are wrong on various counts. Firstly, they assume that the whole of northern Nigeria are Muslims. But that is not the case. Northern Nigeria is split between Muslims and Christians almost on a 50-50% basis. I mean, at the risk of contradiction, if I look at states like Benue, Kogi, Plateau, that are also classified as one of the 19 northern states that are almost 100% Christian, I can say, like I said, at the risk of contradiction, that there are more Christians in the north, even than Muslims. So those who are making these postulations either are ignorant of the population statistics of the north, or they are just trying to be mischievous. Because let me say one thing up front. Like I did say on this program some time back, a Muslim ticket had worked in Nigeria before. In President Buhari's time as a military head of state, he is from a Katsina state, a Muslim, and he picked Tunde Diagbon from Kwara, which is also north, and also a Muslim, as his vice. So during that time, we had the two leaders of Nigeria were both Muslims and northerners, nothing happened. Fast forward to 1993, we also had a Muslim ticket between Abiola and Kingibe, even though there was a north-south representation on that. Again, Nigeria didn't have a problem with that. But in 2023, it's a different dynamic, because the past 7 years, Nigerians have never been polarized along religious and ethnic divides like in the last 7 years. The government of President Buhari has brought this division to the fore, has made Nigerians to become conscious of who is a Muslim, who is a Christian, who is a northerner, who is a southerner, who is a Fulani, who is not a Fulani. So a ticket that has a Muslim a candidate on it in Nigeria is not going to fly. Let everybody be aware of that. It's not going to fly, because at the point where we are now, there is a lot of mistrust within the polity. And there is no way Nigerians are going to back that kind of ticket. I can assure you that if the APC fields a Muslim ticket, they are going to lose majority of the votes in the south, and they are going to lose a significant number of votes in the north. Like I am from Benue State, I am classified as a northerner. I will never put my vote for such a ticket. And I know millions of people will not put their vote for such a ticket. So that is the situation where we are in now.
All right, your statistical, analysis there stands to be tested. I do not know if you said majority of the population, Nigerians in the northern Nigeria, Christians. I do not know how that can be true when, as according to the World Bank, in as recently as 2018, Nigeria was 53.5% Christian, Muslim rather, and 45.9% Christian. There's 53.5% Muslim and 45.9% Christian. I mean, even if you come to Lagos State, you look at the indigents of Lagos State, it could be said that there's a slight majority in favor of the of Muslims. So are we sure that we have more Christians in northern Nigeria than Muslims? That is doubt. That is something we need to check, going by what the World Bank is saying on the balance in the entire country. But are you sure?
You need to look at the demographics of the northern states. There are states in the north, even Borno, that has a significant amount of Christians, number of Christians.
When he says significant, what is the percentage? What's the percentage? We know when he says significant, is it 50-50, 60-40, 30-70? What's the percentage?
The percentage of Christians in what is classified as the core Muslim states will be close to 30-40%. But then when you now come to some states in the north, or which are classified as north, like Adamawa, like Taraba, like Benue. Benue is almost 100% Christians. Like Kogi, then of course you look at states like Niger, you look at all of these states, there are significant amount of Christians at the 40-50% basis. So even if you have more Muslims in the north, that percentage is not dominant. It's not going to be anything like 60-40 or 70-30. It's going to be more to something like 55-45, if not 50-50. So what I'm saying is that you only need to win 25% of the votes in every state and then have the overall advantage nationwide to win a presidential election. And in every state of the north, there are more than 25% of the population that are Christians. So these are the dynamics.
But according to the World Bank, majority of Christians are found in the southeast and south-south, southwest, and middle belt. But you have majority of the Nigerian Muslim population are found in the northern part of the country. And as far back as 2018, we're told that just under half of those in the northern part of these states we talk about middle belt are Christians. But in northern urban centers, however, we're told about 95% of the population is Muslim. I'm just going to read something, all right? I cited from an online source. Please permit me to go through this. It says the majority of Christians are now found in the southeast, south-south, southwest, and middle belt region. That's most of the Christians. It didn't say you have majority of people in the middle belt as Christians, but the majority of Christians in Nigeria are found in the southeast, south-south, southwest, and middle belt region. It is estimated that around half the Nigerian population today are Muslim. This is about 53-point-something%, all right, over 53%. While just under half, that's about 47-point-something% are Christian. Now, in northern urban centers, however, 95% of the population is Muslim. You're talking about urban centers. So if you're going to Borno, you're talking about Maiduguri. If you're going to Kano State, you're talking about the Kano metropolis and adjoining areas. 95% of those in these urban centers where you have the most population are Muslims. Nick?
Well, I think the World Bank statistics lacks empirical evidence. And we can debate these demographics because the Nigerian government has not even conducted a census for the past how many years? Probably getting to 20 years. I think the last census that was conducted in Nigeria was in 2006. I remember that census. I was in my house. I was not even counted. So for 16 years, the Nigerian government does not even have an idea of how many people we are in Nigeria, or the demographics in terms of the gender balance or the youth population vis-a-vis the age population and all of that. We don't have that. Neither do we have any statistics, organized statistics about Christians and Muslims. But the statistics that says Nigeria has more Muslims than Christians is very debatable. It's very debatable, but it's not something that we are going to crack here. The point we're making here is that if the APC attempts a Muslim ticket, they will put themselves in a huge disadvantaged position. Why? Because there are so many Christians north, south of Nigeria that will not put their votes for a Muslim ticket in the Nigeria of today. In the Nigeria that has been so polarized in the last 7 years along religious and ethnic divides. So the advice I will give to the APC is the APC should look for a competent northern Christian as vice presidential candidate. Once they do that, first and foremost, let us assume that the Southwest is going
Nick
to
Agule, we need to get back to Adeyemi Saka, who's in the studio here with us this morning. Okay. Let's get quickly to it now. I know that you have a lot to react to what he has said, but just before then, he's made reference of the, Abiola and King Ibe ticket, which was a Muslim ticket. And I feels like that's also been on top of the front burner, and people are asking. So if we had that time in 1993, I mean, it felt like Nigerians, or it is, Nigerians accepted, that ticket, embraced it wholeheartedly. What's different now? Why are we...
Why if that was the reason they didn't even get into office? We can never say. Why if that was the reason that the election was annulled? Maybe they put into constitution the unity of the country. You see, 1983, we had the Shagari and Ekweme. When Obasanjo was there, Obasanjo, a Christian, he went for Yaradua. Though we want to say Buhari Diagbon. Maybe that was why the government was disconnected from the society, reality on ground. And that was a dictatorship. There was no opposition. It wasn't a democracy. And every time we've had a democracy, we've tried to balance things along tribal and religious lines. And when people say APC's problem is because of Atiku emergence as PDP, no. Their APC's headache is Kwankwaso in Kano. Whether we like it or not, that's the person that's giving them a headache. And when Madam Nasir El-Rufai at some point said Engineer Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso would divide the votes of PDP in the north, I was laughing. Northerners, is it not going to put Northerners that were going to vote for him? No, we're not supposed to vote for APC.
But I mean, does it not therefore follow, Davey, that if APC's headache in the north, especially in the northwest, is Kwankwaso, who's a Muslim, should they not get somebody from either northeast or northwest who is also Muslim to eat into his votes?
But now, Kwankwaso would divide the votes of Muslims. But why don't you go for the votes of Christians in the north that will feel protected with you and vote for you? Why are you making me give APC free expo like this?
So, but what exactly?
That's interesting.
So, but we constantly are in this conversation of the fact that religion has never been. I mean, let's not be divided towards. Let's not. I mean, we constantly say.
Why are those delusional that religion is not?
No, we're just saying that let's not be divided. Let's not go towards religious or ethnic differences. I mean, because that's the message we've been preaching. We've been preaching competence. We've been preaching unity. It doesn't really matter wherever anybody comes from. As long as, is a person that we can accept wholeheartedly. Why are we different now? Why does it seem like, nobody really is concerned about national unity? Shouldn't really matter. Should it matter where anybody comes from?
No, we should have gone beyond this. And the greatest disservice the political elites did to Nigerians, especially those from Southwest, was to kick against the draft of the 1995 Constitution. That draft guaranteed about in a 30-year cycle, in a 30-year cycle, the 6th geopolitical zone would have had a shot at the presidency. And the Constitution says after this 30-year cycle, we can now decide either to jettison the arrangement or move forward. If somebody from Southeast has become the president, if somebody from North Central has become the president, if somebody from Northeast, Northwest, everybody will have a say. And everybody will believe and will see themselves as equal stakeholder in this entity called Nigeria. But some people just decided that, no, we should not. And that's why we are here. It's a single year 5 term, the proposal in the draft. and it says in case of what happened with little President Mao Yado happened, if somebody from that region and an elected vice president from that region will complete his term and then goes to the next zone. So I think, and we should look at this, we shouldn't lie to ourselves that religion and ethnicity is not playing a key role in our politics. It is. So to make this thing, to resolve this issue, why don't we just put it there in black and white in our constitution?
All right. We have to go. Very interesting. I think that expo you gave is quite.
I'm pained.
We will send an invoice to the party, but it's quite a very interesting one. Nick Agule has been a guest joining us via Zoom. Nick, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Let me leave here with a message to Nigerians that all these jostlings that are happening now, all the shenanigans, this is the politicians' time. Nigeria's time is going to come next year in February, in March, where we are going to make our voices heard.
All right.
We can only do that with a voter's card.
Thank you.
So let everybody get their voter's card ready, and the battle will happen in 2023.
Thank you very much. And of course, Ademi Saka, who's graciously given us his time over 2 topics. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, but Muslim tickets will not fly.
This shouldn't be a battle. What are we talking about? I mean, Nick Agule is talking about having to battle. Shouldn't
indeed. Anyway, that's the size of a package. We'll return tomorrow right here with The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Don't forget, you can always follow us on social media at Plus TV Africa, and of course on YouTube at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. My name is Kofi Bartels.
And I am Messi Boko. Have a fantastic day.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Good morning. I am Khadijat Balogu, and this is the news brief. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, has expressed displeasure over the outcome of the primaries conducted, which, according to him, led to massive losses by some members of the legislature. Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, who stated this at the resumption of the plenary, said that the outcome of the process shows a complete disregard for the nation's democratic process, but promised that the legislative arm will continue to fight for democracy and the institution.
I know and I am aware That many of our members did not lose their primaries because they were rejected by their constituents. No, far from it. Many of our members lost because of the process which we foresaw in the House of Representatives. The delegate system, which unfortunately is not what a delegate system is supposed to be. Many of our members lost because they were not even given a fair shake or a fair shot. We have good legislators, both here in chambers and back home, who are probably not coming back because of this same process. When we fought for direct primaries in this house, we knew exactly what we were saying. And it is that fight and the kick and the pushback by many who knew or felt they knew what they wanted to do that has now become the bane of the institution of the legislature.
The Speaker said he will invoke Order 18, 3G to commit the bills to the committee and also permit to take an advantage of the ongoing constitutional amendments process by the Committee on Constitutional Review to look into critical areas for an amendment like the gender neutrality or empowerment bill and come to a consensus.
I have long believed that legislative control of the public purse is one of the most important and consequential responsibilities. Since we resumed office, we have been responsible for passing 3 appropriation acts, with trillions of naira in public expenditure included therein. In this our final year in office, it should be a matter of the highest priority for us to thoroughly review the implementation of those appropriation acts across the ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government of Nigeria. I urge the chairman and members of the oversight committees of the House to begin now to undertake this review and to prepare reports that will be considered by the House and form part of the legacy of this 9th Assembly.
The presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the party's national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, and 14 governors stormed Ekiti to rally support for the APC's candidate in the Saturday's governorship election, Biodun Oyebanji, at the campaign rally where the party's national secretary, Iyola Omishere, ex-Osun Governor Chief Bisi Akonde, members of the APC National Working Committee, members of the National Assembly, and ministers, among other leaders of the party. Addressing the mammoth crowd of the APC supporters at the Ekiti Parapo Pavilion in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, Tinubu, who represented President Muhammadu Buhari, said the ruling APC was poised to win the June 18 governorship election.
He said he will keep his promise. He's a man of integrity, honor. He's better than rich. He are going to send to the south the next presidency of Nigeria.
As the preparations for the 2023 general elections gradually climax, Nigerians have continued to express their worries over the state of insecurity in the country. A chieftain of the People's Democratic Party Lagos State Chapter, Chief Olabode George, while addressing a world press conference on the state of the nation in Lagos on Tuesday, says Nigerians want to be reassured of what is going on. Plus TV correspondent Love Ikukoye Dokun was there and now reports.
It was another moment for the party chieftain to touch on some salient issues bedeviling the nation. From heightened state of insecurity, kidnappings and killings to unemployment, Bode, just like most Nigerians, is not pleased. He believes it's no longer safe to be quiet.
How can we have degenerated to the level where the house of the Almighty God will be desecrated, to shed the blood? And he told us in the Holy Book, don't shed the blood that he created, because that land will be a reject forever.
It's unfortunate because they are picking students, they are picking young ones, they are picking wives of people all across the Southwest. And I know that if we have good governance at the top, if we have good governance, I want to repeat, at the top, something like this would have been arrested.
The worries of the party chieftain are also on the 2023 general elections, as he is concerned about the characters of some presidential candidates put forward as flag bearers of some parties.
You said you have a CPA. That's the equivalent of ACCA. The British will call accountants, ACCA, but American CPA. You say you have CPA. Today you tell them you are a guru in economic whatever. Your character, your age. You have a daughter who is 61. You say you are 70. So did you start procreating at the age of 9?
The former deputy national chairman of the PDP had earlier taken a swipe at the amalgamation of Nigeria by the British and also frowned at the Nigerian constitution. He charged youths to secure their future by participating fully in the forthcoming elections.
You hear stories, PVCs they're not giving them their PVCs, they're not giving them their voters card, they're not giving them all kinds of stories. Are they genuine stories? The youths must not sit back now. They must get, because that is the only power they have to have an impact on their future.
While acknowledging God's unfailing love for the nation, Bode George urged all Nigerians, irrespective of tribe, religion, or creed, to continue to pray for the well-being of Nigeria. From Lagos, Love Ikuku Oyeduku, Plus TV News.
Ahead of the 2023 elections, a non-governmental organization, Stakeholders Democracy Network, SDN, in collaboration with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Rivers State, has staged a permanent voters' card sensitization campaign to encourage a meaningful participation of youth and women in the polls. The reports.
Nigeria has recorded a sharp decline in voter turnout in the last two general elections, as well as the off-cycle polls conducted in some states over the years. It is a development that many believe has contributed to the country's unimpressive level of development. In the light of this, a group, Stakeholders Democracy Network (SDN), launched a continuous voter registration and permanent voter cards collection campaign in Rivers State. The sensitization campaign is aimed at boosting the level of voters' registration and turnout in the country.
This project is designed to promote more inclusion of women and youth in the political and electoral process in Rivers State and indeed Nigeria. We are implementing this project in 24 communities in Rivers State, spanning across 4 local government areas.
Election day close. Not talk say that next year. Before you go sleep wake up, next year don't reach. And we want to let you know, say it's very important for you to get your voters card. Now I know say some people here, you they get challenged with your voters card. Sharply, we get some INEC people waiting here with us. They go put us through based on 1 or 2.
The representative of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Ngozi Ujadi, who is the head of voter education and publicity in the state, bemoaned the high number of uncollected PVCs. Ujadi advised residents against double registration and called on eligible voters who are yet to register to come out en masse to perform their civic responsibilities before the close of day.
Come out en masse. As you get your PVC, that be your power where you go take vote. If you have done PVC once in your life, please do not go and recapture again. What you need to do is to call it up. You will come now, we will tell you what. Don't go and register. Registering more than once is double registration. It will not come.
Me, I go advise people who never get say make them go get them, so that all of us go join hands. Pray Almighty God, make God select the right person. We go hear we poor voice.
You know, since 4 years now, I misplaced my PVC, and up to now I've not gotten my PVC. I know where the INEC office. I've been going there. I will see a lot of crowd. There is no way to have PVC.
While urging Nigerian youths to shun thuggery and violence capable of disrupting the electoral process, Ekong reiterated that the PVC campaign is to encourage women, youths, the physically challenged, and eligible voters to participate in the election to transform democracy and governance in the country.
The head of the family of the late Moshood Kashimawo Abiola in Abeokuta, Ogun State, Murtala Abiola, has called on those aspiring to become the president of the country in 2023 to get a copy of the 93 manifesto of the presumed winner of the 1993 presidential election in Nigeria. Abiola, who stated this after the special prayer held at the family house located in Abeokuta, noted that the manifesto contains different social welfare programs for the poor, young and old in the society. He said that the document will help the masses and also promote unity in the country.
I found out my own. I'm an old man. We are traveling overseas. If I leave Nigeria this night, if I reach America this night, they will carry me to old people's home. They will take care of me medically, food, everything. Even if I die, if they don't clean my corpse, they will do everything. All these programs supposed to be here. But we are all traveling to overseas and we are seeing this. Then we come back home, we don't do anything. In their pocket. The money will finish. He who is keeping the money, he will finish. That is what these people do think of.
On this day, we will remember him as a person, we'll send our prayers to him, and we'll also remember what he stood for and what he promised us Nigerians, and look forward in hope that the one Nigeria that he strove for, that we all voted for him right across the country, east, west, north, central, all parts of the country came out in their huge numbers and supported him, and that we continue to work towards his goals so that he would not have labored in vain, but that we will continue to have a strong, united Nigeria where we are not divided by our ethnicity, our religions, or anything, but we are completely focused on making our country great.
Parenting practices must be included in curriculums and taught at tertiary levels of education to bridge knowledge and skills gap of young adults who are the next set of parents for the future. This was contained in a statement issued by a group, a Mother's Love Initiative, ahead of the Day of the African Child. Chief Executive Officer of the initiative, Anato Ewemadu, says the theme for this year focuses on eliminating harmful practices affecting children, progress on policy and practice since 2013. Ewemadu is of the opinion that the goal of eliminating harmful practices is a daunting task that requires a collective voice of all well-meaning Africans. She recommends, among others, that school systems must review their policies to accommodate the concept of play, reduce unhealthy competition, and promote social and positive psychological capitals from the early childhood to tertiary level of education. In Bayelsa, stakeholders have asked the federal government to take proactive steps towards ending corruption and epileptic power supply in the country. It is believed that with this in place, there would be robust private sector development. Our correspondent, Jesse Ese, reports that the stakeholders also helped on a good road network and a better business environment.
Privatization involves the transfer of a business, industry, service or means of production from public to private control. The reason for this is the shared belief that privately run businesses are subject to the discipline of market forces and therefore more efficient. However, efforts by successive administrations in privatization are yet to yield the expected result. Stakeholders believe it is time for the federal government to take the backseat and create the enabling environment for full-scale industrialization and privatization, starting with the provision of constant power.
Government has a basic responsibility to create a conducive environment for businesses to strive, for investors to come and invest, like good roads, power, good laws. You can see all the refineries in this country, which of them is working? They will tell you, so amount has been budgeted, they are doing this, we are doing that, turnaround maintenance every year, you millions of dollars and all that. What is coming out of it? In the private sector, of course, is business. You know what it means for you to have a business to manage it. The place of efficiency is number one. And government will benefit more if the taxes that will be coming into government to accrue into the IGR of government.
The lack of due process is blamed for the slow result in privatization.
Because most of these things that have been privatized to the Nigerian government, the Nigerian officials by themselves. Why not look out for private companies, private individuals, captains of industries to say, please, we are privatizing this thing. The same thing with the power sector. If they had privatized this power sector to individuals, I mean not the politicians of Nigeria, but other persons who have the capacity and the resources to run these private sectors, I think Nigeria will be a win-win. But look at it now.
With another general election approaching, citizens are asked to look critically and elect the right leaders who can fix Nigeria's economic problems. Just CSA, Plus TV News.
Nigerians expressed mixed feelings as they look forward to the candidate who would become the country's president in 2023. That's on Street Views. Take a listen.
We should vote wisely so that things will be better, because masses are suffering now. In our own perspective, we see future, but in the hands of our leader, they can manipulate it.
I foresee future, because if we can vote the right person, I think Nigeria will be great. We have the ruling party, and it will be a difficult to be for junior party to overcome the ruling party. It will be very difficult. For my own opinion, I think I prefer Peter Obi.
The government use poverty to control the masses. Because when there is poverty, somebody that don't have 1 square meal to eat in a day, and a politician comes and gives him money to vote for him, the followers don't have any other option than to vote for him. Nigeria has no future. We have no future for the instance that those that we have clamoring to become our leader, our president of today, are all of the same feathers.
Well, what I know is that I must vote. Whether they count it or not, whether anything they like, they do, but I will believe that God Almighty that we are serving will give us a good leader in Nigeria. That is my belief.
If they can follow the word, or if you can consider the people that they are following them, if they can pity them, but because most of what they are saying, they are different people, but if they can change with what they are saying and they can follow what they are saying, we have a future bright in Nigeria. Now, I don't prefer anybody, but only God can choose for Nigeria, so that it's going to deliver us in 2003.
Nigeria is already dead, but I don't know about our good leader that is coming, whether good or bad. They'll be saying things, all those promises about us every day, and the country is getting more worse. But we pray, and the future will take care of itself if anyone believe. Oh, they are no good, but we will still give them a chance, because there's no youth to step up for the future. For me now, it's at school, because it's chop by chop, because he's a good man, even though he's a Muslim, he still care for the Christian.
Many youth today, they chase the money, they believe in present, they will never think of the future. Say Tinubu, because I believe he must have done a lot for the country in the past, but we can't judge the past with the present. But we can still give our try and see what he's gonna do for the next election.
Moving on to other parts of Africa. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has faulted the plan of the UK government to send asylum seekers and refugees in the UK to Rwanda. In a letter addressed to Prime Minister Boris Johnson, Falana described the plan as unlawful and discriminatory and requested that the UK halts it and complies with its international legal obligations. He said that the information at his disposal revealed that the asylum seekers and refugees are being sent to Rwanda because of their method of reaching the UK, which generally is by crossing the channel to enter the country. And outside Africa, the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, has said that the organization will convene an emergency committee next week to assess whether the monkeypox outbreak represents a public health emergency of international concern. That is the highest level of warning issued by the United Nations agency, which currently applies only to the COVID-19 pandemic and polio. There have been 1,600 confirmed and 1,500 suspected cases of monkeypox this year and 72 deaths, the WHO said, in 39 countries, including the countries where the virus usually spreads.
I think it's now clear that there is unusual situation, meaning even the virus is behaving unusually from how it used to behave in the past. But not only that, it's also affecting more and more countries. And we believe that it needs also some coordinated response because of the geographic spread.
All working in our domain with a network of experts, we need to make sure that we come together and provide to the world in a non-regular manner a rapid way of controlling the situation. We believe that with advice from the emergency committee, we can be in a better position to control the situation. But it does not mean that we are going straight to a public health emergency of international concern. We don't want to wait until the situation is out of control to start calling the emergency committee. I think this is the reason why the Director General, his prerogative is calling the emergency committee.
And in entertainment news, Netflix Incorporation Most Watched series is no longer just a fictitious television show after the streaming service greenlit its biggest reality competition ever called Squid Game: The Challenge. Unlike the series where the stakes are life or death, the worst possible fate in this 456-player competition will be living without the $4.56 million winnings, which Netflix claims is the largest lump sum prize in reality TV history. Squid Game became Netflix's most watched series when it was released in September 2021, as it told the story of a cash-strapped contestant who played childhood games for a chance to win life-changing sums of money. The first season holds the record as Netflix's most popular series of all time, with over 1.65 billion hours viewed in its first 28 days. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Khadijat Balogun. Many thanks for watching.